We're live.
What's going on, Israel? Shalom, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh, Shabbat, to the brothers, Yahweh, Shemar, Fun, Bashem, Yahweh, to the sisters. As all of you know, I'm priest and officer of 5,000 Abun, campus school leader of Canada, holding down the class, and 12 children are mine instead. The Lord's will, do the best job possible to hold down the class until he gets here. 12 children are behind me, will be in the building. Manager and I will be in the building as well, of course. Type in all the questions that you have. Type in the question that you have in the queue. Let's get the questions in the queue. Questions in the room. Let's get them. Any questions in the room? Let's have them now. Questions in the room, raise your hand. You'll be answered. Questions? Whenever you get your questions together, just let me know. Press 1 if you can hear and see. Press 1 if you can hear and see. All right, if you can hear me and see me, press 1. If you can't hear me or you cannot see me, let us know in the chat. All right. Priest Officer 5,000 above, holding down the scripture breakdown class. Canada scripture breakdown class. Sundays, 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're broadcasting at a unique time because this is a unique event. All right. We're at camp today, downtown, Dundas Square. Excellent. Of course, had hecklers and people come and try and deny the word of God. But just like the sun rising and the sun setting, it's something that can't be denied. It's the fact, it is the truth. All right. If there are no questions, I'm going to go ahead and go into my topic. Let's go to Psalm 127:3. Of course, everyone knows what my topic is. My topic is Roe v. Wade. The recent Roe v. Wade decision that was had in the United States doesn't affect Canada as much, but it does affect the United States, and it does affect many other feminist groups, women's so-called women's rights groups. What I've yet to comprehend or understand is how abortion is a woman's health issue. How does abortion aid a woman's health? I don't quite understand that. I can see if this was a tumor that was going through your body. Some of you dragons out there, you would like to tell us and lie to us and tell us that, yes, your child is a damn dragon. Your child, or the fruit of your womb is a damn tumor. Like a tumor, getting it removed means nothing. But that's a damn lie, okay? Many women who have performed abortions have major depression. I know of a woman through secondhand, a person that I knew, woman that I know, her friend, girlfriend, what have you, always says, such and such will be this old, such and such will be this old today. They never ever get over it. Never ever get over it. Also, they're traumatized by the sound of vacuum cleaners. I see we got a vacuum over there. Right. Click that vacuum on around some sisters once in a while. And they'll scatter like mice. Why? Because they're traumatized, man. Getting something sucked out of you like that is traumatizing. And taking a life is a life-altering event. Give me Psalm 127:3. Yeah, let's have the questions first. So I'll break from the top. Let's take the questions in the room first. Go ahead.
So I wanted a general breakdown on 2 Samuel 23, verse 20. Because in the verse it says that it talks about lying like men. When Christians read that verse, they see like a chimera, like a man with a lion head and everything. So I wanted to break down.
Read it.
2 Samuel chapter 23, verse 20. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man, Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of the pit in the time of snow.
Okay, so he's saying lion-like means what?
Lion-like man is like the half man and half lion, like type of chimera.
No. They just don't know what the word lion-like means, and they don't understand how to put command over any language, let alone the English language. When you say someone is a rat, literal rat, not rat-like, but a rat, does that mean they walk around, they skitter around on all fours and eat cheese and bite kids? No, they don't. What does it mean? It means that they're low down, dirty. Their stomach's close to the floor. They're thus being covered in dirt, like a rat. All right, rat is a metaphor. I don't think that's a term, but a rat is a word that's used in the place of snitch. Because a rat is an animal that's not highly regarded. That's revolted. That's disgusting when it gets in your place. People are disgusted by rats. And people that say that, use that for snitches, so-called snitches, are disgusted by snitches. So saying someone is lion-like is not saying they have a lion's head. Doesn't say they have a lion's head here.
Right.
You can look up a Kai whatever, and tell them that those things aren't real. One. And then two, where does it say they have this attribute of a chimera, that attribute of a chimera? Run down the attributes and watch them stumble. And then what will happen, then what you'll do is you just look at the word. You look at the word, it says possibly lion-like, strong definition, okay? When it says Araya Allah is lion of God, that is heroic. So when it says these are lion-like men, these are men like the men that you see in the Kung Fu movies. Like good lion-like Kung Fu. They knew those fighting arts, right? You've heard the term tiger style, right?
Sure.
Crow style. They liken their fighting. The Orientals, who are the ancestors or who are the descendants of Moab, liken their fighting styles to different animals, various animals. And so this is essentially what that's saying in 241. They thought like lions, they had a fighting style that was like lions, and these men were heroic. These men had great fighting ability, which is what makes it all the more glorious that it was a Benaiah killed them both. Both. 2-on-1. Average cat can't handle 2-on-1. That's why there's so many shootings in Toronto. Average cat can't handle a damn 1-on-1 fist fight, let alone two men, let alone two trained killers, which is what Benaiah was dealing with. Do we have ones in the chat? Can they hear us?
I don't have any ones in the chat yet.
Okay. Make sure you share this. I can share the Facebook link on Facebook and share it in the group also. All right. So that's what it means. It says lion-like meaning they were heroic. That's what you'll tell them. Otherwise, they'd have to show you where this says they had chimera attributes. It doesn't say that. Next, any other questions?
Sir, may I get a general breakdown on 2 Peter 2, verse 14? So I'm gonna grab it right now.
It sounds too opposite.
So my question for the This is 2 Peter 2, verse 14. Having eyes full of adultery that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and a heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children.
You're asking for a general breakdown on this?
Concept.
This is talking about the people that don't believe in the truth, the wicked, the unrighteous, and the heathen. Right? You read verse 1. It says, but these were false prophets also among the people. But there were false prophets also among the people. Even as there shall also be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. Let me read on down. If you read in verse 9, the second half of verse 9, it says, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Talk about the unjust. What do the unjust have? What are some attributes of the unjust? Having eyes full of adultery, like that goddamn Will Smith. Anyone that promotes the swingers lifestyle. Yeah, like anyone that pimps their woman out. They have eyes full of adultery. Constantly looking at other brothers' wives, other brothers' women, constantly looking at women that they know has a man that they can have sex with in a way that is sexual. Like you looking at a woman beyond, oh wow, she's cursed, she's a woman, whatever is good for that brother. Beyond, you're looking beyond that, you looking like, I wonder what she can do. I wonder what it looks like. You go on a step ahead, and then through that act, through that thought in your mind, that thought leads to an act. Thoughts become things. What you allow yourself to think about is important. And you have to understand what thoughts, being that there's a scripture breakdown class, and we'll tell you about this in the scriptures. The mind is deceitful above all and desperately wicked. Well, most of the thoughts, the ideas you have that come into your head aren't native to you. I mean, it's not coming from you. It's coming from outside influences. The problem with everybody else outside these walls is that they let outside influences get to them. Hence, they're up in arms about abortion. What the hell? What's the goddamn big deal? The simplest way to avoid getting pregnant is not having sex. Dumb bro.
Okay.
As simple as that. A napkin, knees and napkin. That's a new contraceptive of a bond.
Right.
A bond LLC. Knees and napkin. Take a napkin, put it between your knees. You'll be good to go. Stop chasing Rod up and down the streets of Toronto. You won't have abortion to even worry about. And nobody should be having sex, the side topic. Nobody should be having sex with somebody they wouldn't imagine having kids with. You have to take that into consideration also. And the women that you deal with, and if you're a woman, you have to take that into consideration with the man that you deal with. You know what I mean? And he's not someone you think you start a family with, you really would be wise for you not to deal with him or her. You know what I mean? If you're a man. But these cats, the unjust, they have eyes full of adultery. They're constantly thinking of ways to have sex with other men's women. And cannot cease from sin. They can't stop sin. Roe v. Wade gets closed. Cats talking about going and taking a coat hanger and rip the damn baby out the damn body. It's 2022. Everybody's talking about us. We were just a camp, right? Everybody's talking about the Bible. F the Bible, that's old, right? They talk about all this stuff is old, this is that. And you'll ask them the same thing about ancient religion, child sacrifices, right? Of false pagan religions.
Right.
You ask them about that, they'll be like, pagan child sacrifice, that's old. That's old. This is 2022, but in 2022, they still straight up sacrificing kids, man. And that's in the scriptures as well. You want to take the class, Jeff? Okay, they have eyes full of adultery and they cannot cease from sin. They can't stop. Roe v. Wade gets abolished, and then they're going to find a way to skirt around it. A lot of the southern states just straight up ended the damn thing. Okay, Florida's looking to end it. Texas ended it. Arkansas ended it. Oklahoma ended it. Banned abortions. They'll just try and find a way to go to another state. If they close that off, they'll take the damn coat hanger and stick it up inside them. Why? Because they cannot cease from sin. They can't stop it. They can't help themselves. This is talking about the unjust, man and woman. All right? Beguiling unstable souls. Who are the chief of the unjust? The chief of those in the world who teaches them their ways? The Christian church. The Pope is the vicar of the gays. The Pope is the vicar of the gay community. The Pope is the father of the LGBTQ community. And he beguiles unstable souls by saying God loves everybody. The Roman Catholic Church changed their stance on the so-called gay community. They threw their hands back. And they better throw their damn hands back because half their damn congregation is gay or lesbian. Why? Because they molested all the damn kids. That's the Catholic Church. Beguiling unstable souls. Those that are unstable. Those cats over there, rainbows, where they have a ton of support, so-called support, etc., they're unstable. They're unstable souls. Our sisters that are lost, single with kids, what have you, unstable. Unstable souls. And them and the LGBTQ community has been led to believe that living like an animal is how you get God's favor. Right? They say it's a sin to not sin. Right? Creflo Dollar literally said that. I'm paraphrasing, right. But he said something very similar, that if you don't sin, that's Satan. That's Satan not wanting you to kill those people. That's Satan not wanting you to shoot that cat and sling that dope. Which is why the fruit they produce is what? Dope dealers, thieves, murderers, crips, bloods, strippers, OnlyFans models. That's their fruit. LGBTQ members, freaks, fudge packers. That's their fruit. Beguiling unstable souls and heart they have exercised with covetous practices. In their mind, they think of covetous practices. They think of how to take something that someone else has. They think of how to get something from someone else, which is in along the lines of adultery. Adultery, part of what causes it is wanting something that someone else has. And if you have that spirit, you want to temper it. Temper it with what? Temper it with understanding that the things you have are good enough, man. The rib you got, excellent. You want another rib, get another rib, get counsel on it. But don't desire another man's woman, because this woman is attractive. They look better than yours. Whatever nonsense we think, whatever idiotic thoughts come into our mind, don't let that come in you. But I mean, what do I mean by don't let it come into you? You want to fight wickedness with righteousness. So you're thought to do something that's evil. You tell yourself in your mind, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not what we do. You got to go to war with yourself in your mind, and with your members. That's what Paul discussed. That's what Paul talked about. You get my point?
Okay.
These people don't. These people can't stop sinning. That's the only reason that there's even a big fuss about Roe v. Wade. Why the hell is it a big deal? Like, why are we talking about families and starting families? Why is that such a political issue? The main function of human beings is what? To keep the lost experience of the Most High. What he programmed into us since the beginning, the first order given to man was what? Who knows?
Salaki, be fruitful and multiply.
Be fruitful and multiply. That's every organism wants to multiply.
Right.
So if a woman standing in your face telling you, screw that, there's something off. She's out of order, like a broken toilet, like a car that's broke down by the side of the road. Though she may look like 24 karat gold. Sorry, Juan.
Yeah.
But she may look beautiful. What's inside of her is disgusting. She's totally out of order. She's broken. And any woman that's up in arms and rife and striving on social media platforms about abortion is broken on a fundamental level.
Right.
Very deeply, deeply broken. There's something deeply, deeply wrong with them. All right? And those are the people that the Christian and Catholic Church love to bring in. They exercise with covetous practices. They don't do any of the work of a man of God and a prophet of God, but they get all the money for it. The Catholic Church has in control. The Catholic Church has in control $10 trillion. Catholic Church, we brought that to the limelight a few weeks ago. The Catholic Church is in control of $10 trillion of assets. They do none of the work. The Pope decided to come out here to Canada. He's going to go kiss some Native American kids and go the hell home. Meanwhile, they just gave $80 billion of aid to Ukraine. The First Nation didn't get one red cent. They didn't get one red cent for their bones being found underneath residential schools. Meanwhile, Canada, I believe Canada also is paying the fake Jew. Paying the fake Jew still what happened 80 damn years ago. Okay. Most people who lived through or fought World War II are dead. They're not alive anymore. But they're still paying the so-called Jew. They still paying the so-called Jew cash money.
Salaki said.
Right.
And even Justin Trudeau said in 2015 that he had a plan to fix the clean drinking water crisis.
Right.
And it's interesting how fast they gave aid to Ukraine.
Right. Say again?
Yeah, it's interesting how fast they gave aid to Ukraine as soon as all that stuff went down. But we're here 7 years later, and they haven't given a penny.
Not a penny. Not clean drink, no clean drinking water. Some of those houses out there, they don't have doors, they didn't have insulation.
Right.
I know this firsthand. The sister and her children not having insulation in the woods up in Edmonton and whatnot. They don't give a damn about us, man. Why? Because they exercise by covetous practices. I'm loosely paraphrasing what the scripture just read. It was like 2 Peter 2:14, something like that. Okay. Which is the brother's question. Any other questions in the room?
I have a question for Revelation chapter 16, verse 2.
Revelation 16:2.
I'm gonna get it right here. So Revelation chapter 16, verse 2, it reads, "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell it noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." Now, that mark of the beast, it will be Caesar Borgia. Can I use that precept as a precept for Caesar Borgia?
The mark of the beast?
Right.
No, the mark of the beast is not Caesar Borgia. That would be the image of the beast. That's his image. That's his representation. The mark of the beast is the trademark, right, of the beast. You mark your trademark, right? Yeah. You get a box of Oreos. You know it's a box of Oreos. How? How do you know you're getting a box of Oreos, not a box of Thin Mints? Who knows?
What was that?
How do you when you're at the store, you want Oreos? How do you identify Oreos?
You see the image of the package.
You see the image.
Right.
You see the color, the texture, the shape of the box, the price range, maybe. Okay. The mark of the beast is that same mark, right, or similar mark,
right,
Similar trademark, but it is a mark that's on people. It goes in your right, it's in your right hand, or it's in your forehead. That mark, that trademark, is the religion or the belief system that people have. Why? Because that religion and that belief system is what causes them to do the same things as the beast, to have the mark of the beast, the trademark, right? To have his practices, his culture upon them. The mark of the beast, literally, it be summed up in one word: Christianity.
Right.
Because it is Christianity that causes you, with your right hand. Right hand is what? Your strength. Most people are right-handed. I'm not right-handed. My left hand is my strength. The right hand signifies what? Strength. In their right hand, right, they have the mark of the beast, and their forehead they have the mark of the beast. Meaning what? Their strength is doing what the beast does. You have the cattle. You have the cow, right? How do you know a cow is owned by a specific owner? He's branded.
Right.
These cows, these cattle have the mark of the beast on them. They're branded by the beast. When you look at them, you know, oh, they're Christians. You look at them, you know, oh, they work for this kingdom. Oh, they're in line with this system of things. How do you act to be in accordance with this system of things? Sell drugs. You wouldn't know that selling drugs is illegal listening to rap in Canada.
Okay.
You would have no idea being a crip is illegal. You would think it's just cops and robbers. You just play it on the yard. You would think it's totally legal. You wouldn't think it's against God to have an OnlyFans account to show yourself nude on the internet with all these OnlyFans accounts, following chromizing them. You wouldn't think it's wrong. You wouldn't think it's illegal because it's the status quo. And the people that follow the status quo have the mark of the beast. They are going to die. Okay? Why? Because the mark of the beast is the trademark, is the actions that they take, which identifies them with the beast, which shows that they are owned by the beast. You understand? It's Christianity. Why? Because Christianity causes you to do the things that show you are marked by the beast. It shows that the beast owns you, not you specifically. So it's Christianity. That's the mark of the beast is. Now, in Revelation 16:2, it says what? That a noisome sore would fall upon those that have the mark of the beast. What is that noisome sore? That noisome sore is the monkeypox prophesied in the Bible. That's a noisome sore. You get that damn monkeypox, you look like a Native American on a reservation in 1860. Right. You look like one of the Native Americans that Lincoln was taking a picture of before he hung them by the dozens. That's what those people look like. Why? Because they have the mark of the beast. They have the mark of the beast. They are marked by the beast. Who is the beast? The beast is a slave master, specifically the Greco-Roman Empire and their daughter America. Which, if you are a LGBTQ member, you are practicing the culture of the Greeks, and you're practicing the religion of the Greeks. Pedophilia, all that stuff, that is all religious. Sex, what you do with your body, it is all religious. You're not religious. You are Christian, all of you. Women that believe to live free and do what they want, that is a religion. That is a belief system. It clearly is a religion because when we tell you to close your damn legs, you're ready to spit on us. It's a religion. It's people vehemently fight for that. Guess what? People that believe in that religion, the people that do those things, the people that are marked by this beast by their actions, right? Which is how you know someone has the mark of the beast, by how they act. Right hand you use to do things with your, you use to do things that require strength. Your mind, you think about things. What's on your mind, what you're doing. Okay? People that do things that the beast would do, they're going to have noisome sores. What's that noisome sore? Monkeypox. What's another noisome sore? AIDS. AIDS was killing everybody, Kamazania. You remember that quote they made, sir, if I could? The AIDS quote in Washington, D.C.? It covered the whole damn city. Everybody was getting a good night's rest. You, the mayor, the homeless cat, it was the size of the damn quote they made, sir. Why? Because the noisome pestilence, a noisome sore fell upon them. With monkeypox, it's a literal sore. With AIDS, it's a sore within your body or pestilence in your body. So that's what that's talking about. It's another precept on plagues and diseases befalling those that are Christian. Befalling those that are branded by the beast. They do what the beast wants them to do. That's how I break it down, right?
So like y'all want to make.
Right.
So that mark of the beast, okay. So you just said like you established that it is Christianity. Would it also apply to like other religions?
Any other religion, yes. Anything that is not the truth can be applied to the mark of the beast. The beast, when you go into, it was in Ezekiel, it was Ezekiel 31, the beast, the other nations are liking him to a beast. All right, let me get that piece of please, Ezekiel 31. Any questions online?
No, sir.
I think it's Ezekiel 34. So,
Sure.
1 second. Yeah, Ezekiel 30, 34 and 8 for the beast. Precept for the beast being the other nations. All right. Read it when you have it, Rock Yellow.
I'll have it.
Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 8. As I live, said the Lord God, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field.
Who is the Lord's flock? The Lord's flock are the Israelites. Okay? The Lord's flock, his flock are the Israelites. And they are prey. We are prey in this place. We are preyed upon in this place. Continue.
Because there was no shepherd.
Because there was no shepherd. There's no one to lead us and guide us up here in Canada. No one but the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. No one in the First Nations community to do it that gives a damn. No one in the West Indian community, so-called West Indian community, to do it that gives a damn. No one in the so-called American Black community, African American so-called community. No one in the Latino community. Because of that, we are a prey. We are meat to every beast of the field. These nations are likened unto the beasts of the field. You understand? The flock, the Israelites are likened unto beasts as well. Sheep. That's what we're likened unto. We're the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right? And the other nations are the beasts of the field. So when it says the mark of the beast, the mark of the nations, of the other nations. Their trademark, doing what they do. So a cat that's Buddhist has the mark of the beast, Rock Yellow. A cat that is Muslim has the mark of the beast. A cat that believes in Catholicism or baptism or is a Seventh-day Adventist, he has the mark of the beast. Jehovah's Witnesses for sure have the mark of the beast.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
So that precept, Ezekiel 34 and 8, right? It's comparing the other nations as beasts of the field. So can I use that precept that show that the serpent that was stalked in Genesis, right?
Perfect precept.
Serpent.
This is a perfect precept. Right? It mentions beasts in that chapter as well, correct?
Right.
It mentions that. Let's get that precept too on where it mentions beast in Genesis. All right, so I get it right. The other nations are likened unto beasts of the field. The Israelites are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We're likened unto sheep. All right. Brother's going to get that precept.
I have the precept in Genesis.
Go ahead.
There's Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
Serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. The beast of the field in the scripture is talking about the other nations. The precept is in Ezekiel 34 and 8. The Lord likens us to what? Sheep, and likens the other nations to beasts in the field who are eating us, who are devouring us. That's who we're being devoured by in Montreal. That's who we're being devoured by in Toronto. That's who owns all the businesses. Right? They're building a subway rail through Little Jamaica, destroying a historic location of Toronto, Little Jamaica.
Right.
We drove through Chinatown today, sir. There's no construction going on in Chinatown. They're not closing a damn thing. Why? Because the Chinese would get together and they would shut the city down. Okay? The blacks, Latinos, and natives, we are a prey. We are a prey to the beasts of the field. To these other nations. Next question.
Can I get a general breakdown of Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 through 8?
Come on, we can run through that until the general gets here. When the general gets here, I'll have him answer, all right? But I've heard the breakdown before. All right, so he can pick up from wherever we leave off, all right? But let's get Revelation. We're Revelation 6 and 1 to those of you online. If you're online, type in your questions now. 12 Show General Mahayaman, Commanding General YAHANNA will be in the building shortly to take all of your questions. So I will get your questions in the queue, get them queued up. Computer man, Shari, what you want to do is you want to open up Notepad on your computer. All the questions, they're going to start rattling when the general gets in. You just copy. We normally do search. We copy and paste them.
Okay,
Copy and paste them into Notepad. So that when he asks for the questions, you can just scroll through those. That way you're not missing questions, all right? You get it from the top on down, all right? Revelation 6 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard it.
Stop. Who's the Lamb?
That'll be outside.
That'd be Christ. He's the ultimate sacrifice. That's Hebrews, was that 10:10? Hebrews 10:10, Hebrews 8:8. Somewhere around there, he is the sacrifice. Christ is the lamb. Lambs are sacrificed in the Old Testament. Christ is the lamb that was sacrificed, killed for our sakes, put to death so that we can sit in this classroom and teach and not die on the streets of Toronto, die in the streets of Philadelphia, die in the streets of Pennsylvania, of Delaware, of British Columbia, of Vancouver, Florida, wherever we may dwell. And the Lamb opened the seal. The book, for a very long time, the Bible had seals, which you can imagine is a book like this with seals on it, like wax seals. You ever seen like medieval movies where they have the wax seals? You put a key in it, breaks the seal. That was this book for a very long time. So what does that mean? Christian pastors, the Christian church has been around for how long? 2,000 years, right? After the truth faded out of the earth in about 200 AD. They've been around. They've had 1,800 years, 1,700 years, almost 2,000 years with this book. They didn't understand it. You never heard Revelation 6 breakdown until here today. No Christian pastor in Canada can break down Revelation 6. None. Not in McMaster, not at the University of Toronto, any of these great institutions they've got here. But we can. Why? Because we're the prophets of God. And through the Lamb, these seals are being cracked open. Right? Christ is the one that can reveal the mysteries of this Bible. What did Christ say? Christ said you can't be a damn fudge packer. So the LGBTQ community, the Christian church, they're not going to understand the mysteries of this book. Because though these seals are open, it's not open for them to read. It's open for us to read. Those that keep the law will understand the mysteries of this book.
Can't do the
You understand it. The understanding of the Bible. The precept for that, you can go to, there's in Daniel 12:4, I believe, when it says, knowledge shall increase. Knowledge shall increase. Talking about the knowledge of the Bible. The knowledge of the Bible shall increase in the last days. We're in the last days. Right? Okay, Daniel 12. Hold on. Daniel 12:4, when it says, knowledge shall increase.
It might be like $40 every hour or something.
You just confirm for me. Just in case we might not need it.
Phone console.
Yep, Daniel 12:4. Knowledge shall be increased. So we're talking about the knowledge of the Bible. Why? Because for a very long time, the Bible was not known, not understood. Or I believe it's in the verse one.
You want me to read the precept out one?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, God. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book.
See that? Shut up the words and do what with the book?
Seal the book.
Do what with the book?
Seal the book.
See that? Around the time of Daniel, the book was sealed up. And then Christ came and opened the seals of the book. For a very long time, we read the Bible, and people across the world read the Bible but didn't understand it because the book was sealed. Seal the book. Keep reading.
God. Even to the time of the end.
Even to the time of when?
Of the end.
Even to the time of the end, Barak Yalla. When was the end?
The end would be like, let me know if I'm mistaken, but the end would be like, okay, when Esau like was put in power.
Good, you're close, actually. The end is when Christ was put to death. Give me that. Give me it is finished. When he said it is finished. Hold on. Hold where you're at, which is Daniel 12:4.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much.
John 19:30. John 19:30. When Christ died, that was the end of this world. Why? Because once he died, it was only a matter of time, tick tock, until he would return. You know that time ended when the 144,000 are sealed, which is why these classes are so important, which is why these camps are getting spit on and getting feces thrown at us is so important, which is why we go through it week after week to seal the 144,000. To seal the 144,000 and hope that we are also included in that number. That's the whole point of doing this. For the reward that's at the end. The reward that's at the end, eternal life. What does that mean? You constantly ruling. You rule, you have children, die, they rule, then you come back to your children. Eternal. That's what eternal life is. You're not going to live. Nobody's going to live forever. That'd be boring as hell. You get tired of it after what? 70, 80, 100, 120 years? That's a Edomite concept, the Caucasian concept. Why? Because they have a God complex. They want to be like God. The eternal life is you living through your children, ruling the planet Earth. All right. Let's get on Matthew or John 19 and 30. This is when the world ended. All right. This is when the world officially ended. Come on.
I got that one. It's the book of John, chapter 19, verse 30. When Yahushua therefore had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost.
See that? See that, Rock Yalla?
Oh, God.
When he took that vinegar, he didn't take the vinegar, excuse me, he spit it out. They offered it to him. It was in his mouth. He spit it out when he found out that there was gall or poison in it, so he put him to death faster, like similar to like a lethal injection, right? When he rejected that, said it is finished. What's finished? This world is finished. You get my point? This world is finished. Why? Because Christ is the Lord of Lords and he's the King of Kings. He is the reincarnation of Solomon. Solomon was set to do what? To have a kingdom that would rule forever, right? The throne of David was set to rule Israel, who would rule the world forever. And Christ is that man who would sit upon the throne of David to rule forever. When he said it is finished, that's it. Now we're just tick-tock, tick-tock. That was 2,000 years ago. Imagine how close we are now. Come tomorrow, next week, 2 weeks from now. Tick-tock, like a 24 episode. It's like a cat. Either of you want to take?
No, it's what we
All right. So drop that. Take me back to Daniel 12 and 4.
Oh, God.
For sure.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book.
That's the seal. Precept for the seal in Revelation 6. Go ahead.
Oh, God. Even to the time of the end.
Even to the time of the end. So once Christ left, and the prophets came on the scene in Acts, and when the prophets came back on the scene now in the end, right? Now the seals are being opened. Now the knowledge of the Bible is being known for real again.
Yeah.
So before the Christian church, what were they doing? They're out there on Dun and Yon just talking. Really just to talk over us, not pulling any scriptures, not saying anything about the Bible. If you notice, when we were out there at camp, the cat that was talking about us saying God loves everybody and for God so loved the world, he had the LGBTQ colors on his little sign.
Oh, good night.
He did while he's talking. Probably one of them himself.
Okay.
Probably just got back from a gay bar. Or the damn concert. Cleaned himself up, wiped his mouth, and then put a microphone in his mouth, replaced what he had before with a microphone, and started speaking more nonsense, started spewing more filth.
Right.
More filth came in, then filth came out of his mouth. On the streets of Dundas and Yon, while we're getting signs kicked and whatnot for teaching the truth.
Right.
Saying that black people, so-called black people, Latinos, and natives are the Israelites. So they're being opened. Before, it was just him saying whatever he wanted to say, and then blessing children. Him saying whatever he wanted to say, saying, "Oh, celebrate Christmas, put a tree in your house." Before us, that's all it was. Before the Lord sent the prophets back on the earth, that's all it was. Now the seal is being opened. Read on. Is at the end of verse 4.
Oh, God. Many shall run to and fro.
Many shall run to and fro, travel, like we are, all across the world. Go ahead.
And knowledge shall be increased.
Knowledge shall be increased. What knowledge? The knowledge of this book. Why? Because you go to Revelation 6, it says what? Seals are being opened. When the seals are open, knowledge shall be increased. So go back to Revelation 6, which is your original question.
Oh, God. 1 second. So Revelation 6, chapter 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder,
As were the noise of thunder. Go ahead.
one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see."
One of the four beasts saying, "Come in," so you continue.
Verse 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse.
A what?
A white horse.
A white horse. Go ahead.
And he that sat on him had a bow.
And he that sat on him had a bow. Go ahead.
and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
And he went forth conquering and to conquer. What is this? What do these horses symbolize? These horses, bronchials, are spirits. They're vibes that will go about the earth before the world is destroyed, before Christ returns. That first horse, and what you have to understand also, bronchials, these horses aren't necessarily in chronological order, meaning the first one doesn't necessarily come, and the second one comes, and the third one. You'll have the first one and the third, the first and the fourth, the second and the third. You get my point? So this first horse, this white horse, is the spirit of Christ of Yahushua, which does what? Conquer. And that's what we are doing. We are conquering. We came to Canada from Syracuse, New York, from Philadelphia, myself included, from different parts of Canada, from North Bay, from Montreal. We came here to conquer. We did not come here to smile, join hand in hand, and kiss homeless people. We came here to conquer. And that's what we did. How did we conquer? We conquered through telling people that this is the way they should live. What? That this is the way they should live. This is the way they should operate. This is what they should eat and what they should not eat. This is who they should have sex with and who they should not have sex with. You can control who people have sex with. You can control the earth because sex is a powerful motivator. You get my point?
Right.
If you control what people eat, you control the earth. That's how we conquer. We are going to conquer. We are conquering. All right? That's what Christ had us do. It's the spirit that's in us to conquer, to take more land, to take more zones. So we do here in the ISUPK. We're going to be in Toronto. We're going to be in Montreal soon. We're going to be in Calgary and in Edmonton, wherever Blacks, Latinos, and First Nations are. Halifax, I'm shoot up to Halifax too. You know what I mean? Nova Scotia to get some talk to the Judites that's up there. The large Judite community up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, north of Maine. We're going to go up there and teach the Judites, the Canadian Judites. Okay? Tell them what's going on. Go out to talk to the First Nations, tell them what's going on. Why? Because the Spirit of Christ is upon us, man. Read on.
I like that also. So what would that white horse represent? Like, which spirit?
The white horse is the Spirit of Christ. That's what I just explained. Why? Because the man that sits on him, has a bow. What do you do with a bow? You kill, you conquer. And it says in the verse, conquering and to conquer. You're about to read that in a second. I'll continue reading. Do you have any questions?
Kind of question.
Okay. Hold them.
And he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see.
This is the second seal now. So now these are seals of the book. The Bible's being understood. More and more of the Bible's being understood. More and more camps. More and more classes. More and more what? Podcasts. There's a podcast in every zone now.
Right.
Everybody got a podcast. You got a podcast. I got a podcast. We've all got podcasts. Why? Because the seals are being opened. The knowledge is being taken in and understood. And more you're seeing Jake in the world begin to take on their culture.
Right.
Even with the whole, I wouldn't say Kevin Samuels per se, but the whole, even with the like posts going on around Facebook, even with Jake in the world about these women being evil, you didn't see that 10 or so years ago. You get my point? Be careful who you lay down with. I'm here seeing more and more Jakes take on to the things that we say and we teach. You get my point? And if you peep, you take a look, you listen, keep your ear to the streets, what have you, you'll hear things being said that's more along the lines or in line with the truth. Go ahead.
Salaki, I wonder I notice I've been seeing a lot more people, a lot more Jakes just talk about history in general. Even if it's not that they're claiming to be Israel, just claiming that they know about the land of Canaan and like ancient Samaria and stuff like that.
Yeah, more of that's being discussed, and what it's going to do is it's going to lead them to hearing us. Now, whether they change their life or not, that's up to them. But yes, that's on point with what I was saying, in that the truth is beginning to spread like wildfire. All right, why? Because the Spirit of Christ is loose on this earth. Continue.
God. Verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red.
And there went out another horse that was red. This horse, Brachial, was red. For time's sake, I don't know when the generals are coming. For time's sake, Brachial, you can precept Revelation 6 with Zechariah 6. Zechariah, check Zechariah or Zephaniah 6. You pull up another tab on the computer. If it mentions brass, mountains, and there's these different chariots, these chariots are red, whatever, that's the precept for this. Okay? And I believe in Zechariah it says that these are spirits. All right, they're vibes, which is one of the contexts of the word spirit. Continue reading Revelation 6.
Okay. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
So Barak Yahweh, the first horse was conquering. This horse is taking peace from the earth. What is the opposite of peace, Barak Yahweh?
So like war out of one.
War. So if this horse, this spirit, this vibe is taking away peace from the earth, what is this horse bringing? War. This is the spirit of war that is loose upon the earth. The white horseman represents the spirit of Christ. The red horseman represents the spirit of war, which is loose on the earth. To imagine that Russia would invade Ukraine a year ago would have been crazy. Would have been insane. They're going to do what?
Yeah.
Invade the Ukraine? Can't do that. They're about to join NATO. They're in bed with America. Watch them invade, and lo and behold, they invaded Ukraine. America can't do a damn thing about it except send a few damn Stinger missiles. We'll send you more Stinger missiles, so more of you can go ahead and die. That's all these little silly aid packages we're sending to Ukraine. All that is extending the bloodshed, because you can't beat Russia. The Nazis, ask Hitler, ask Napoleon. They tried to go into Russia and froze to death. You're not going to beat Russia. The only man that is fit to conquer Russia is Christ. Yahushua is going to conquer Russia. And 144,000 men of the I.S.U.P.K. instructed, taught, diligent, and disciplined, they're going to conquer Russia. But you heathens, you can't conquer Russia for a damn. But they're going to continue to give money, aid, and weapons to continue to prolong the bloodshed. And guess what else? This is funny too. All that aid they're getting, they got to pay that back. That's not free. They got a loan. That's what that is. That's a loan. The one they got for the World Bank is 1 point something. Is a trillion? It was in the billions. They got to pay $100 million just in interest on that loan. So Esau enslaving Esau. Ukraine's going to be poorer than it is. Ukraine is dirt poor. That's another thing they don't tell you either. They said that country has iron ore and all that. Those are backwater, trailer trash, Eastern European garbage over there in Ukraine. That's not they're not high up amongst Esau. You get my point? So which is why they're allowing a war to happen over there, because even amongst Esau, there's hierarchy. I'm going off on a tangent. We'll get back into the verse. Even amongst Esau, they have the upper echelon, which would be the British, the Germans would be next. And you have the French, Dutch, Spanish, what have you. The Russians and Slavs will be on the bottom. They're called the Slavs, Eastern Europeans, because that word means slave. They're routinely enslaved by the Western European Edomites and, the few Jakes that were in power in Western Europe. And the Arabs as well had them in slavery. Okay, but I'm going off on a tangent. Let's read on in Revelation. The spirit of war, this is what's loose, taking peace from the earth, which is why Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. He's threatening to invade Finland. Finland, you go ahead and try to join NATO if you want. He'll knock the cinnamon rolls out of you. He'll knock the skier and the vodka out of you. That's what'll happen next. You're going to get attacked by Russia next. You try to join that damn NATO. And when you join NATO, all you become is America's pimp anyway. America's new John anyway. Okay? Serving America's interests. But it doesn't matter. It's to none effect. Why? Because the spirit of war is loose upon the earth. Go ahead.
And that they should kill one another.
See that? And they should kill one another. And aren't they doing that in Ukraine? They kill a brother. The death toll is it's like 50,000 people. I'm like, what? 50,000 people. They're worried about cholera outbreaks. You think you in sub-Saharan Africa? You in Kiev or Donetsk or Luhansk? They're worried about third world country diseases. As African, no sewage, dead body, dead rat, monkeys, crocodiles, whatever in the lake, dead. And about to drop dead of cholera. They worried about cholera outbreaks in Ukraine. Who would have thought? The Lord would have thought. Why? Because he's letting the spirit run loose upon the earth, and war and mass shootings and all these things are going to increase. In America, the only solution they had is now to give everybody guns. You saw that where they're beginning to strengthen the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms in the United States. Now everybody's going to have a damn shot, which means what? Everybody's getting shot. That's what that means. It's not going to stop school shootings either. Everybody's getting shot because everybody has a gun. Why? Because the spirit of war is upon the earth. People are just going to start fighting and killing one another. Right?
Right.
Continue.
Okay. And there was given unto him a great sword.
There was given unto him a great sword. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand.
Read it again.
Okay. Verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand.
So, Adia, this is Rakiala. This is the third horse. White, red, and now black. And the man that sits on this black horse has a pair of balances in his hand. Balances you use to do what? Weigh things on a scale, right? Read on.
But that wasn't for the verse I want.
Continue reading.
This is what Salakia, what would that black horse represent?
I'm going to keep reading. We're going to get it. It's going to explain in the next verse.
Verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny.
Mm-hmm.
And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Okay. So he has balances.
Right.
So he's going to do what? He's going to weigh something. And then he's told an angel shouts out, 3 measures of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny. Those of you living right now watching the news will think, what the hell does that mean? Because barley is not a penny. Barley is $1 million Canadian dollars. Right? Gas is out the wazoo. Gas back in the States, back over in Buffalo, it's $5 a gallon, $4 a gallon. It's just insane. So what does this mean? What is this talking about? What this is speaking about, Rakiala, is food crises. Now, when would food become cheap? Who knows?
It's like it, sir. When it's no good.
When it's no good. There's little food on the shelves now, right?
Yeah.
In a second, there'll be food on the shelf. They'll get the food back.
Yeah.
The food's not going to be any good. The food's going to be poison. You're going to eat it and drop dead. You don't believe me? Go ask Africa. The Russians right now are sitting on millions of pounds of grain right now coming out of those Ukrainian ports, and they say you're not moving a goddamn anchor. We're going to blow this place to hell. Okay, we got cruise missiles locked and loaded on those grain trucks, and nobody's moving. But guess what? The Middle East and Africa, they need that grain. Okay, and so they're dealing with the Russians saying, "Look, move the grain." Pretty much, Putin's telling them, "All right, give me a bag. I mean, you give that, you slide that cat a couple of rubles, he'll give you what you want." Okay, all they're going to war for is money. It's all it's ever about: money and oil, power, and really greed, wanting more than you need. All right. So they're going to slide Putin somebody. Say, "All right, look, just let this grain go." They're going to let that grain go, and those Africans are going to drop dead. Why? Because the grain's going to be spoiled. Guess what? They're going to sell that grain cheap on the dollar, pennies on the dollar. Yeah. That's a scripture. That's a precept in the Bible. Give me men shall think victuals so good cheap. This is a precept for this verse, Brachial. It says a measure of wheat for a penny, a measure of barley for a penny. This is speaking about famine, food crises that lead to famine. Why? Because the food that you're going to get, your barley, is going to be worth less, right? Barley's going to be a measure of barley, which a measure would be like, anyone know about bushels? Bushels about what you can carry in your hand. It's approximately what a bushel is. I'm not a farmer myself, but a bushel is a measure of wheat. So a bushel would be like as much corn as you could grab in your hands, making a circle, right? About a bushel, a certain measure. That measure of wheat is going to be worth nothing. Why is it going to be worth nothing? People need to eat. It's going to be worth nothing because if you eat it, you're going to die. Right. Men shall think victuals look so good cheap. It's in our second Ezra.
Come on, sir.
Go ahead.
It's the second Ezra, chapter 16, verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion.
All right, men shall think victuals so good cheap. Read that. Read after that.
Come. Upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case.
See that? They're going to think, oh, praise the Lubu. They praise the Lubu because they're getting a good load of Ukrainian grain, pennies on the dollar. When he eat it and die. Okay. And other food crops, food staples as well. Notice it said barley and wheat. Barley and wheat are what? Those are food staples. If you were in the Roman Empire, you were in the Roman army, you didn't move unless you had that bread. The bread that they made, I forget what it was called, but they had a bread made literally from barley and wheat. If you were an army, back in the day, before MREs and these processed foods that you can now package and store and move, what do people eat? Bread. And during the Civil War, they ate what? Hardtack, right? Why? Because barley and wheat are staples of society. The staples of society, the staple food sources are going to become cheap, not existent. They're going to be diseased. You're not going to be able to eat them. You're going to be short on it. Crises, food crises, which leads to famine. That's this horse. It's the spirit of famine. Okay? Rakiala, which is moving. What was it? 1, 2, 3.
Clap it up. Appreciate that. You want the Bible? No. Okay, yes, sir. All right, let's get it on. Take your questions online and in the room. Whenever you're ready, let me know, all right?
Salakia Adawan.
Warrior.
I have a question in the chat. This is from Zarwai Ban Yashikar. He said, Shalom Adawan Salakia, sir. In Daniel 7 and verse 5, what is the ribs in the mouth of the bear?
Okay, let's read it, please. Come. Whenever you're ready, let me know.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear. And it raised up itself on one side. And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh.
This one is vaguely on my memory. This is the bear is Persia, right?
Yes, sir.
What are the 3 ribs again?
I thought it was like 3 kings where they
There's
conquered
3 kings in Syria.
It was like I thought it was kings with specific names, like it was Cyrus.
That sounds right.
There was a cat that was Xerxes, and there was another.
Oh, that sounds right. Let me double check with Commanding General Yahanna. All right, I forget. I can't quite remember the 3 ribs, but they do represent 3 specific kings. I'll have to check with Commanding General Yahanna first. All right, just ask me another time in the back.
Salaki Adawan. Before you came, I had Officer Bun breaking down Revelations chapter 6, verse 1 to 8.
You said Revelation. I appreciate it, boy. You know what to do in Canada. I see you. No sweat. No, I might have some with me right now. You got that tonic water? You don't have that shit. I appreciate it, bro. All right. Let's rock it out again. Where we at?
So we're breaking down Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 through 8, and we were at verse 6.
Okay, Revelations 1 through 8, verse 6. All right, you got it.
I mean, we just finished breaking down verse 6, like what the black horse represented, right? So I'm going to continue with verse 7. Revelation chapter 6, verse 7. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see.
Okay, you want me to break this down? Is that it?
Break down what does the pale horse in verse 8 represent?
All right, go to 7. Is this 7 right now? Go to 7 and read.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 7. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see.
Keep going.
Verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him.
This is the breakdown of the 4 horsemen, or the 4 horsemen on the chariots, right? And you're asking me, what is the pale horse? The pale horse is a spirit, okay? And don't think so much of a horse, but think a man riding a horse. but the Most High is describing the horse. So there's a man riding a pale horse, a man riding a black horse, a man riding a barrel horse or a red horse. You get the point, right? And think more like, and even riding is the wrong way to think of it. Think of it like chariots. Like a chariot is pulling, a horse is pulling this chariot with this man operating the chariot. Now, the reason I break it down like that is because of, I believe, the book of Isaiah, which is, I think, the 6th chapter. All right, which is that correct? Isaiah?
For this?
Yeah, for the 4 horsemen.
No, Zechariah 6.
Zechariah 6, right?
6 and 5.
Zechariah 6 and 5 is the precept that goes along with this breakdown right here. So these are all spirits, and you need Zechariah 6 and 5 to understand that. So you're going to hold that and go there. Go to Zechariah 6 and 5, please.
Zechariah chapter 6, verse 5. And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens.
You get the point? And so if they're spirits, then what are they then? Okay, most people have heard about this, and you're going to live it very shortly. You're going to, if you don't realize that you're living this already, you're going to live this more and more. There's going to be no gas at the gas station, no food at the supermarket. That's happening. And the food that is there, the food you can afford, will be food that's trash. Food they would throw away. But for poverty, they can't throw it away. So now you're getting it at discount. Come on.
So actually, I just broke that down about Ukraine. The Russian-Ukrainian war has huge implications on the grain markets of Africa and the Middle East. Right now, they're sitting on millions of pounds of grain that they can't move because Russia said, if you move, we're gonna blow this thing to smithereens. So they're not moving. And once they, whatever whoever gets paid, that they whoever gets the money that they want, what have you, they'll let the grain move. And like I said, what I said was they're gonna sell that grain. That grain's gonna be worthless. You're gonna drop dead if you eat it.
Yeah, because they're going to sell it in the Ukraine.
Right.
And you're going to get it for pennies in the Ukraine. You're going to get cows that, died. Cows that just dropped dead by the thousands. And as opposed to burning them or throwing them away, they're going to sell those cows. And you're going to thank the Lord that you get it. Because if not, the supermarket would have nothing. Right? So if you don't understand that you're living through the time that these spirits are what? On the run. Which is why they're depicted as horsemen. They're on the run, then you'll see it very shortly. All right, forget about the war and the death. This entire abortion thing. Now think about it. The abortion debate, right, which is raging right now all throughout North America, right? The only states that are affected by it are states that don't want abortion. Do you understand? Meaning, you're going to be able to get an abortion. If you're from New York, you can kill your baby just like you could last year. If you're from California, my God, listen, California said that because there's no more federal law enforcing a woman's right to an abortion, they're going to increase the ability for a woman to get an abortion. Meaning, if you're in California, you'll be able to get one right up until delivery. Now go look that up. 8 months, you'll be able to have an abortion in California because they'll have to respond to the fact that the federal law is taking away a woman's right to an abortion. So in places like California, New York, give me some other places, places that love abortion, Oregon, they're going to increase it. So you'll be able to get an abortion right up until birth for any reason. You won't have to notify your parents. Age won't matter. They'll increase your right of it, right? Your right to have an abortion. I appreciate it, Warren. So then the only states that really anything will change in it is about 14 states. And the reason it changes in those states is because those states don't want abortion. You get my point? The people, even the women in those states, the majority of them are against abortion. And they vote for candidates who are against abortion. So the only thing that this verdict even changes is what? It makes people angry. And that's it. And there's a pill that you can take to kill your baby. It's called the what? Abortion pill. And states that love abortion have decided to make that pill more available since the federal government is curtailing a woman's right to murder her child. The only thing that this verdict does about Roe v. Wade is just make people angry. That's it. That's the only actual tangible change that will happen. because that is one of those horsemen. Anger, tumults, and turmoil among the people. Open that blind if you don't mind. Can we do that or no? I appreciate it. Go on. Meaning the people getting super angry, being willing to, destroy the neighborhood and break windows. That's a spirit. Do you understand? So now, if these horsemen are spirits that are on the run, then what are they actually? I just damn near gave you the answer. Well, what is a spirit anyway? What's a spirit? A spirit is not a ghost. You start there. That's what they taught you in the residential schools. They taught you about ghosts and, a ton of Catholic nonsense on top of molesting you, right? But what's an actual spirit? It's normal and common, and you're going to see it run wild in the streets right now over the Roe v. Wade verdict. Come on.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You like I don't know how to word it, like a vibe.
Give him a hand. That's all it is. A spirit is a mood, a vibe, the way you feel, right? The way you feel. So everyone being angry and mad as hell, they all have the same spirit. Right. Everyone not caring and not giving a damn about the loss of children and not caring about what happened to the tribe of Gad at the residential schools, not caring about how many Gadite sisters are missing and Gadite daughters are missing. Being complacent is also a mood. It's a spirit. And in Canada, the blacks and Hispanics in Canada are amazingly complacent. Right. They could absolutely care less about their brothers and sisters in Canada. Who knows why? Because black people, the Haitians, the West Indians, the black people in Canada have went through what they went through in the residential schools since they came to Canada. All of your fight has been beaten out of you. That's what they did in the residential schools, right? In the residential schools, the teachers and the principals beat you and cut your hair until you did nothing but comply to oppression. Well, what happened to black people and Haitians and West Indians in Canada? The police did the beating. The police did the exact same thing that the principal did in the residential schools to the tribe of Gad. And so now everyone in Canada could just care less. When you are under the exact same oppression that your brothers and sisters suffer in America, in the States, you're under the exact same oppression, and I'm going to prove it tonight. Many people think it's worse in America. America's so much worse than Canada. It is not. The problem with Canada is that there's so few of you, and you've been beaten so terribly. And your beating has been state sanctioned the same way slavery was state sanctioned. And because of that, you have the spirit of complacency. That's where the spirit is, all right? And these spirits are going to run wild. The spirit of death. That's the pale horse. Do you understand? And just so you can understand, a pale horse is a horse that's like, gray and beaten, like an old. Pale is like a term meaning sick. Right. You understand? Like the sick horse. You got a red horse, you got a burl horse, you got all those horses of different colors to describe what the vision was. And then this pale horse is like a little sickly, raggedy horse. You get my point? All right. I believe that's your question. I appreciate you, Scotch. It smells good from here. Now it's time for God to really speak through me. I finally hear him. I hear him. He's there. All right. Where are we at now? Next question. One more from the brother in the back. Go ahead.
Can I get a breakdown on Revelation chapter 17, verse 3?
Revelation 17 and 3, you got it.
Oh, gosh. I just want to tell you my question about the verse.
Mm-hmm.
What does the beast represent?
What does the beast? Okay, go ahead and read it.
So Revelation chapter 17, verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy.
What color is scarlet?
So that's like a shade of red.
That's red. Give him a hand. That's correct. A woman sitting on a red beast. Read after Scarlet.
Sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy.
Full of names of blasphemy. What's a blasphemy? Who knows? An evil lie. Something wicked, a wicked and terrible lie that you might say about God or his priests. Continue.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Having what?
7 heads.
7 heads. What does a head represent? Rulership, authority. Right? A head is where you place a crown. Right? You have the head of this department, the head of this province, the head of this city, the head of this committee, and blah, blah, blah. You understand, right? Head, the term head represents leadership or authority. Well, this red beast has 7 heads. Those 7 heads represent the 7 governments that stood up in the place of the fall of the Roman Empire. Those 7 governments became the ruling powers of Europe. The ruling powers of Europe became the mother beast to Canada, which is one of those heads is the head of Londinium. There was a Roman province. Londinium is the start of England, and England is the start of Canada. You understand? And France. I forgot about the other head. The other head in that beast was the head of France, which was Gaul. Gaul at one time was a Roman province that later became France. And France, of course, later began to share the rulership of this area and the domination of the indigenous people of this area. You understand? Anything else? Go ahead.
What represents the 10 horns?
The 10 horns are governments that come out of those heads because horns come out of heads. Canada is a horn that came out of Great Britain. America is a horn that comes out of Great Britain. France is a head. Give me some country that France started. They didn't have a ton of them.
Australia came from.
They had some of Canada, some of Australia. Germany, forget about it. Germany started other countries. Germany started Austria. Germany started Belgium. Come on, warrior.
Haiti, sir.
Say again.
Haiti,
Give him a hand. That's correct. How could I forget the chosen people of God, the tribe of Levi? That's correct. Come on.
So just like the brother said, 80. So also the horns from the heads, like represent like colonies that these heads have, right?
That's correct. That's correct, because horns come out of heads. You get the point. Just think of that concept. The head is in charge, a horn comes out of a head. A new government that comes out of this older government. You get the point, warrior? Let me get you up front. Any questions out?
Salakia, just one question online.
Go ahead.
He says, Salakia, sir, can we say that abortion is part of the mark of the beast?
Can we say that meaning, you got to see if he's meaning if you get an abortion, that shows that you have the mark of the beast, right? I would assume he's talking about like joining our oppressor's military, right? Or murdering for Christianity, committing a murder for democracy. The mark of the beast is Christianity. That's the mark of the beast, right? And you get it in your forehead, and you get it in your hand, right? First, it starts up here. That's what they were attempting to give the tribe of Gad in those residential schools, right? They were trying to force them to take on the mark of the beast, to take the mark of the beast to save their lives, for better treatment, for an extra bowl of food, or for one day of not getting beaten. Same thing happened in Haiti. The same thing happened in America, all right? So you began to enforce thinking on people. What thinking in particular? Thinking that they are a people who are beneath another people, right? There's a superior race on the planet Earth, and that's the so-called white race, and you are the inferior race. And that spirit is in charge in Canada. But everyone, Canadian people, when I look at Canadians, you don't think you look like people in the world? You look like you're white. Everything about you seems white.
Oh, God.
You understand? It's like you don't have a culture in your mind that is separate from your oppressor. And I know how you got that way because my people went through the same thing, my tribe.
Right.
You're just beaten for so many years. And instead of someone helping you the people you would go to help, they beat you more. You can't call the police when you're being molested by a priest because the police don't care about what you're saying. The police don't believe you, right? The government, you can't call them to help you because the government supports your beating. And after years and years of that, you just become like the person who beat you. It's no different than a woman who was molested becoming a lesbian because she was molested. A woman who was molested now becomes promiscuous and has sex with anybody because there was a time when her choice was taken from her on who she would have sex with. So now she just has sex with whoever wants to have sex with her, right? That's what happens over time. Over time, you're beaten so much that you give up your mind to the person who beats you. That's the mark of the beast. You understand? You don't have, you're white. You're, which is what they used to call us back in the day, colored. Even colored is trying to just take away any identity that you might have. You're not a Haitian. You're not a West Indian. You're not Judah. You're not Benjamin. You're not Levi. You're just a painted person. You're a colored person. And after 50 years, colored has come back. Now you're a person of color, which is just colored again. We're just after so many years, you just became colored all over again. You were colored in the 1920s, and now, of course, you're a person of color today, which is just bringing back the term colored, which means you're not even an identity. You're just a painted white person. So now cut your hair, talk like me, act like me, because there is no culture but mine, and that's the mark of the beast. Now, he's the beast, but I have his mark on my mind, his brand. Think of it like an animal. That's the Triple X Ranch. There's a rancher that owns that ranch, and I have his mark. I have 3 X's burned into my flesh, which means I belong to him. Do you understand? That's the mark of the beast. And you get it in your mind, and then one day you get it in your hand. That's when you go out and kill for that beast. Right. Now you're the one forcing people to accept white supremacy. Now you're in Iraq forcing people to bow down to white supremacy. You're in a patrol car in some neighborhood forcing people to support white supremacy and to bow down to white supremacy and to give up their culture. You get my point? That's the mark of the beast. So now abortion. Abortion is absolutely murder. I don't even know if it's controversial anymore to call abortion murder. I think even people that support it know it's murder, but they want to have the choice to murder. Because of science, it's real straight up and down science, everyone knows that baby is alive. You might not have known it in the 60s and the 50s, but now I can show you a video of a 6-year-old, a 6-week-old little, thing with fingers and toes and smiling, at 10 weeks old or 2 months old in the womb, kicking and pushing and smiling in the womb because of real straight up science. And science has made abortion very clear to everyone, even the people that support it. They know that that is a living soul inside of that woman. But hell, they just want the power to kill that living soul. What's the difference? There's a lot of evil things that people wanted to do regardless of its morality. You get my point, right? So now is abortion the mark of the beast? If you get one, you are absolutely Christian. If you get an abortion, you are committing an act of your oppressor with your hand. Because who really wants black children to die? That's right. Anyone know? Who really wants indigenous kids to die? Come on. The oppressor. So if you kill your child, you are doing the work of the beast. Go ask those children who are missing from those indigenous schools. They went out and found mass graves with hundreds of God's chosen people in the ground. And they just ended up missing one day. The tribe of Gad over here in Canada, man, among their culture, they always have stories of a boy going into the woods with some white man, you never see him again. Some Catholic priest dragged somebody into the basement. You never saw him again. Some little girl was playing next to the road. Some car came up, you never saw her again. It's normal in their culture to just have this story of white people kidnapping and killing their children. And then now they find mass graves with hundreds of dead children. If you get an abortion, you're doing it for the white man.
That's right.
That's who wants abortion.
That's right.
Forget all of the damn protests and the people that don't want abortion. The Democrats and the Republicans.
Yes.
The people against abortion want black babies dead. They just don't want their white daughter to go down to that abortion clinic. You understand? In Alabama, where I'm from down there in the States, they don't want white women, white children to go to that abortion clinic. But they absolutely want black children to die. They'll just wait until you're born to kill you. That's all. They'll get you. They'll get you when you end up missing. You understand? But Republicans and people who support the abolishment of abortion, they still want blacks and Hispanics to die.
That's right.
They still want the indigenous people to die. They just want to wait until you're born to kill you because they don't want their daughters to kill their grandchildren. Everybody understands, all right? Is it the mark of the beast? It is absolutely an act that a person would do if they have the mark of the beast, if that answers your question, all right? But the mark of the beast is Christianity. That's what the mark of the beast is. And getting an abortion is absolutely Christian. Ask the priests at the residential school. Killing children is Christian culture. It's part of their culture to kill children. Come on. In the back.
I have a question. It's not really on the scripture, but you kind of wrote that down a couple of weeks ago. You said that, I'm going to paraphrase what you said. It's like one of the men in the Bible, he had like some kind of garment made out of like camel's hide.
He had a camel's hide, right? John the Baptist, I believe you're speaking about. Go ahead. Can everyone hear me well? Online, let me know, okay?
Okay, sir.
Go ahead, Art.
So you guys said like it wouldn't be unclean, like it's just like shaving a camel and making
Right.
a jacket off.
Mm-hmm. He didn't wear a camel's hide. That would be unclean. He wore camel's hair.
I mean the hair, it's like
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So would that be unclean to like have snake with crocodile boots?
Yes. Why?
Because I think like you have to take it off the animal when it's dead, right?
You have to, yes. A crocodile skin is the carcass of an unclean animal, which is what the law says. The law says you cannot touch the carcass. What is a carcass? The carcass is the dead flesh of an unclean animal. So alligator skin is his carcass. Right? Let me think of some. Chicken feathers, that's not chicken. You get my point? That's the feather of a chicken. But the chicken that's his flesh. So give me another unclean bird, a duck. A duck feather, you could fill up your pillow full of duck feathers and sleep on it if you have that kind of money. You could do that if you want to do it. That's lawful. But you cannot eat duck. You could not touch a dead duck and touch his skin. You couldn't do that. Because the carcass is unclean, not the hair, not the feather, not something that's not its body. It's simple enough to understand. Right. I can give you 1,000 precepts, but you know that already, don't you? I can give you 1,000 precepts in the Bible proving what I just said. If you have the need to ask for them, just do it. I'll start the ball rolling. All right, next. Please. David. What did David do? David had elephant tusks sent to him from Tarshish and from Africa for his throne room. You can just look up the precept. Take a second. You know what a tusk is, correct, of an elephant, correct? Right? That's that big white horn that comes straight out of the damn elephant's head. Well, David would have them shipped to him and use them in his throne room. Make thrones and decorate his whole goddamn throne room to indicate how rich he was. And he would do it with elephant tusks. All right? When you find it, you let me know. I'll give you 1 second. All right, go ahead, Al.
Also, I want to lock it. It was kind of like a two-part question where,
please.
Because I have a pet snake, right? And it sheds its skin sometimes. Would that be considered unclean to touch its skin?
No, it's not. Because he's alive, sitting right there in front of you. And of course, that is his skin that he's shedding. That is very similar to his feathers, but not almost the exact same thing with all those scales on it. When I say exact same thing, exact same premise. You get my point? Snake skin from a shedding snake would absolutely be lawful to touch if you have one to be touching it. You get the point. All right.
No,
No sweat. Next.
Slack
Oh,
is
you got a David one for me? Just give me the
Look at
elephant tusks. It's in the Chronicles or something like that. Go ahead.
Slack. There's no
No
questions in
questions
chat.
online. No problem. All right. But you have one. You let me know. All
I
right?
got us First
Come on,
Kings,
Get a brother the precept, please. First Kings.
10 and 18. I believe this is about Solomon, though, sir.
Solomon. Oh, yeah. That's who that is. I think it's Solomon. Go ahead and read it.
Read it, sir.
Let the young brother read it in the back.
First Kings chapter 10, verse 18. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold.
Give me more about all the animals and all that.
This one's just about ivory, sir. I'm not sure if you want to.
There's some more. There's some other good ones going into the animals. I want to just look up the definition of ivory. We'll move on. You can do it in the back out if you want, all right?
I have a definition of ivory.
Go ahead.
Ivory, a hard, creamy white substance composing the main part of the tusk of an elephant, walrus, or narwhal.
You get the point now, right? Right. That's one. You can take that one with you. Okay. It's absolutely clean. All right.
One last thing I want to
Come on.
make.
Go ahead. You got.
So it's like if I have like a coat, like fur,
You have what?
a coat, a jacket,
Right.
jacket, like
Mhm.
with fur on, with like real fur on. Would that be clean or unclean?
That would be unclean because of that process that's used to make a fur coat.
Kind of,
It's the skin. The other side of it is the skin of the animal.
right.
You get the point. They kill, whatever, which was a giant industry. I think how the whole damn near country started in Canada was from the fur industry, mainly the beaver. Right? It's really started this entire country, the fur industry. Right? Especially once again the beaver. And they would kill the beaver, then they'd kill every beaver that ever existed to make fur coats for people to wear who were college, people that went to college in the States. All right, and hats and coats and things like that. That's unclean. You cannot wear a authentic, real fur coat because that is the carcass of that animal. It's not the fur on top.
Right.
It's his skin that you're wearing on your back. It's more like leather, if you could understand that. A leather coat is the skin of a cow. It's not the hair of a cow. It's the skin of a cow, and a fur beaver coat or a fur mink coat is the skin of the mink, which would make that unclean. But you can wear a fake mink coat, which I have a few of. We'll rock it today.
Right.
Fake mink, it's good, it's wonderful, and of course it is inexpensive and it's lawful. So you can wear a fake fox, fake chinchilla, all that is just synthetic and it's nothing, all right? But a real one, you could not wear it and be lawful.
One last thing. So like, what about like some ice cream, right?
Some ice cream?
Right, because some vanilla ice creams apparently like they made them ingredients of Korea,
Mm-hmm.
which how they take that ingredients, right? They take it from like anal glands of the beaver itself. So that would that be unclean?
Yeah, I would be careful with all of that. I've seen too much of that over the years, okay? Mainly it's schizophrenia
Right.
and paranoia. You can research it. I don't know a damn thing about anything you just said, right? So you got to go research that on your own, but I would be very careful about that because most of it is a man being driven crazy out of his mind and fearful. And you really can't do the work of the Lord like that, but you can go check it out. But of course, if you eat broccoli, then actually you're eating cow manure. Everybody understand? You know that already. I broke that down for you. That's cow, and you're eating dead mice, dead field mice, dead field rats, dead worms. Because why? You know why, brother?
Because I'd say they would decompose in the soil.
Yeah, they decompose in the soil and they literally feed the vegetable. They feed it, right? They fertilize it. They feed they nourish. Every plant is nourished by the dead things and the feces from animals in the ground. So it's inside the broccoli. it's in it. So now, you know, what are you gonna do? Not eat broccoli now, or eat broccoli you make in your house? You know, you got some more window plant, you're making broccoli in your damn house hydroponically. Go ahead. You know, that's what you want to do, all right? But the Bible does say, be not ye righteous over much. And it tells you that you're going to go goddamn crazy over doing things like that. Okay, so if vanilla ice cream is lawful to eat, officially according to the UPK. All right, so you can give me some proof that it's some terrible, you know, whatever you just said in it, show it to me. All right? But just know I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I don't have paranoias or fears. Everybody understands, okay? All right, next, come on.
It's like the other one. There's a breakdown in Psalms that talks about the vegetables recycling, just as kind of being the natural cycle of life. I know we use that for reincarnation. My question is that the same for animals?
Absolutely. Everything is reincarnated. Everything. So if your snake dies, he's coming back. He will return. What's his name? Medusa is on her way back. Don't sweat it. That old dead dog you had, damn near killed you. Listen, he's coming back. Rest assured, there'll be a puppy somewhere, and that is him or her. Everything comes back up. There can't be life without death.
That's right.
Right? So everything that dies must die so that there can be new life. The Lord had one creation. That's it. Everything was created. It's in the book of Genesis.
Cool.
Everything was created during that time. That's creation. There's not a new creation. That's the history of creation. It's right there. It's called that.
That's right.
Right? Creation. Every soul, every animal, every fish was created then. And everything just dies and comes back. Every person just dies and comes back. You get the point, right?
Come on.
Okay, next. You good here? It's a lot of
Counsel.
You got a question? Let me know. Let's go over. Well, I don't know. Someone asked me about this breakdown. Give me how can one ascend into heaven in the New Testament, all right? I need that.
Come on.
And I need, and then we'll go over the Canada stories, okay? Ariel, you have those, right? We'll go over those stories. You know, let's go over the Canada stories now. It might take more time, all right? Ariel, break it down for me, all right? Give me the stories we need to go over.
Which one for you want the one about the stats or the story about the
Give me the stats first. Stats. I said earlier that oppression and racism in Canada is not better than it is in the States. It's the same. And I'll show you a stat that you could read in New York, in the Bronx, in Philadelphia, in California, this exact same number. This number doesn't bend according to how you feel or whether or not you feel racism. This number is the number. It's a factual, right? Your feelings are irrelevant when it comes to facts.
Right.
And here are the facts, all right? When you have it, let me know.
CBC News, Montreal. Black indigenous people 4 to 5 times more likely than whites to
Read it
be
one more time.
4 to 5.
No, black and indigenous. Go ahead.
Black and indigenous people 4 to 5 times more likely than whites to be stopped by Montreal police.
Let me tell you, this is a study done by the police, right? Canada, as a country, did the study as well and found the exact same number, right? And over the years, I'm always shocked on how people don't believe that blacks and Hispanics or blacks and so-called Native American Indians are the same when we're the same in every statistic about oppression.
Right.
And here we are all the way in Canada, not in America. And who is this study putting together? This study is saying what? Read that again.
Black and indigenous people 4 to 5 times more likely than whites to be stopped by Montreal
I think how many
police.
other races are here in Canada? The Chinese, you got more Chinese here than I think than China. I think China is empty. Right? Korea, it must be a tumbleweed rolling down the street in Korea, because I think all the Koreans are right here. But these studies, of course, don't talk about their oppression and how they're being treated by the police. It's always blacks and Hispanics,
That's right.
blacks and indigenous people in every statistic that talks about oppression. It's always us. Come on.
So, like you said, just a side note, when the COVID-19 hit, I thought I'm watching the news. I remember it was I think a black, what's the main doctor, the head doctor over the country? No, not Fauci. It was a
Fauci.
brother at the time.
Oh, the Surgeon General.
Yeah, Surgeon General. He came out. He started speaking. I thought I was in a UPK class. He kept saying blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans get the COVID. Blacks, Hispanics. He just kept saying blacks, Hispanics, blacks, Hispanics. I was just like, man, like you're saying.
I remember that. Like, he kept going. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They need to do this. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because that is spiritual. We are one. We're the same.
That's right.
We suffer together. If any scientist does any research about oppression, that research inevitably will end up talking about us. They won't join the Chinese and all the other immigrants that come over to Canada. They'll never be with you when the numbers are counted about who is being oppressed. So here we are in Canada, and this is the study. Read it one more time, our Captain Ariel.
Black and indigenous
Can everyone
people,
hear him? Make sure they can hear him online. All right, go ahead.
Go on, Counselor.
black and indigenous people,
Or on camera, whatever.
4 to 5 times more likely than whites to be stopped by Montreal police.
5 times more likely than whites. Now, I'm going to explain that number to you in 1 second and how important that number is. Go ahead, Doc.
Police chief and mayor shocked by findings, while civil rights advocates say it's time to talk openly of racism.
It's time, y'all. 2022. Listen, it's time to talk about race in 2022. Finally, we should discuss race, right? In 2022, and the police were shocked to hear this number. Shocked, why? Because this is not Los Angeles.
Right.
Right.
This is not New York. This is good, polite, wonderful Canada, where there is no race problem here, where everyone gets along and they're just happy with each other. They drink a beer and they're excited to see one another. They hug all day and they love each other. That's a lie. And anyone that accepts that lie has taken the same oppression that they gave out in those schools, the same oppression that the police give out every day. You've accepted it. You blacks and indigenous people are 4 to 5 times more likely to be arrested than a white person. Keep going.
A report from 3 independent researchers found that there is a systematic bias in street checks done by Montreal police.
You would think that white people don't get drunk, according to the police. You would think white people never get high.
Right.
They never commit any crime. Here's the reality of it. A white person doesn't get stopped by the police, so no cop ever finds out that he has an illegal weapon. No cop ever finds out that he has illegal drugs. No cop ever finds out that he just robbed someone because he's white. When if you're black, they're constantly stopping you, so the arrests go up, and then you can assume that white people are not committing the crime, when in actuality, white people are not getting policed at all. Continue.
Researchers found that there's a systematic bias in street checks done by Montreal police, but stopped short of concluding officers are guilty of racial profiling.
Keep going.
The report commissioned by the city of Montreal was authored by UQAM, sociologist Victor Armani, and University.
If you can, Ariel, give me the percentage of blacks and indigenous people compared to whites in Canada. Because remember, they're 4 to 5 times more likely to be stopped by a cop. They're being policed more systematically. So then what are the actual numbers of the population? If you have it, you tell me, all right? A bunch.
I had something from StatCan website. It says the black population, slight sir, I don't know if this includes Africans or not, but I'll just
Whatever.
Come. The black population now accounts for 3.5% of Canada's total population and 15.6% of the population defined as a visible minority. So they're 3.5% of the total population, the so-called blacks.
Okay, now this might, now I know you understand a bunch, but you know math. Some of your other brothers might understand. Okay, if they're 5% of the population, but then there's 95%, white people are then 95%. You're stopped 4 to 5 times more than the 95% of people. Do you understand the actual math of that?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, it's insane.
Right.
They're 95% of the population. And you're stopped 5 times more than them, and you're 5% of the population. You are oppressed in Canada. You're oppressed just like Mississippi or Alabama. You're oppressed. Come on.
And then for the indigenous population, it's 4.9%. So total will be about 9 to 10.
Now remember, like you said, they might be counting Africans and Inuits
Right.
in that number. Real blacks and Hispanics and North America, so-called North American Indians, might be 2% of the population, man.
Good night.
Being stopped by the police 5 times more than 95% of the population. That's oppression. That's slavery in the South. That's what that is. And that's why people in Canada are so complacent and so compliant, because your oppression has worked. Like, it's perfect. It's the absolute perfect eradication of the soul of a people. And that's why what you're doing, the bun, is so heavy down here. Give Officer a bun a hand, man. Let me tell you something. Bun coming down here to Canada, and all you brothers and sisters in Canada, brother, you're doing something absolutely radical. And you're going against your nature to do it. You're going against what your fathers and what your mothers think is decent and proper to do. And that's the only way that change can ever happen, man. Now, you can't have change by doing the things that your mommy and your daddy and your cousins think is acceptable. Then you won't have any change, because they accept oppression. They accept slavery. There is not one good thing that has ever happened to blacks and indigenous people that didn't happen because someone fought. If anything that you think is good, do you like voting? If you like voting and you think, of course, in the UPK, we don't vote. But if you like voting and if you think voting is good, someone had to fight for it.
Right.
Someone had to go out on the street and fight and have rocks thrown at them so that you could vote. Give me something that you like. Do you like going into a store that you like? Do you like doing anything that makes you feel like you're a human being? Well, at some time in history, someone had to be called a radical. Someone had to be called a cult leader for doing the thing that you now enjoy. For being able to go anywhere you want, for being able to ride on any form of public transportation that you want. Someone had to fight for it. Someone had to be willing to be different, willing to be hated, so that you can have that privilege. Well, what you're doing in the Israelite School of UPK in Canada, you're fighting for blacks and Hispanics to have the right to accept their own birthright, their own inheritance, something that really you should just be given because of who you are. But instead, they deny it to you. They deny you self-respect. They deny you your inheritance. And so now you have to be called a crazy cult member. Why? Because you want the very thing that was stolen from you. That's crazy. In the indigenous schools, when they beat and killed those North American Indians, why did they do it? Because they believed that white people were the chosen people of God. White people were the people preferred by God in the Bible, that to do what white people told you to do meant you were closer to God, meant where you were obeying God. You were obeying the Bible to accept white supremacy. When the whole entire time, these North American Indians were the actual people of God. That Bible that they used to oppress people with, right, that Bible belonged to the Indian people. That Bible belonged to the indigenous people. But instead, that Bible was used to beat them and to destroy them, when in that actual Bible, it says that the North American Indians are the children of God. The Haitians are the children of God. Now, to fight for that to be known, why is that so crazy? Why is that so rude? Why is that wrong? You know what this is all about? You have to decide one day, will kindness have victory over cruelty? Are you going to allow cruelty to win in Canada? Because let me tell you something. If blacks and Hispanics in Canada continue to be Christian, then the murder of that school worked. It worked it. That's what that means. If you're going to stay Christian and just continue to be good little Canadian citizens that never talk back, that never speak up, then that school taught you a lesson that you learned to this day. And it was good. It worked. They beat you and destroyed your spirit, and now you do it willingly. You're going to have to decide whether kindness will win over cruelty. Because if blacks and Hispanics don't stand up, if the indigenous people do not stand up in Canada, then the cruelty won. Yeah. And how can you speak against it? How can you speak against oppression when you like it? It worked. It has to fail. There has to be a time that the way that you were treated in this country means that you reject the people that treated you that way. And if you don't, then why would it ever stop? Why would anybody say, well, let's treat them better? When they treated you terribly and you refuse to leave from what they taught you. One day you have to decide. Officer Abun decided. You brothers and sisters in this room, you decided. You decided I'm not going to just talk about the schools that they killed the North American Indian in and how they slaughtered the Haitians and how cruel this country has been, and still go to church next to them every Sunday and still complain about it. But then on Sunday, you sit right next to them in church and pray to the same God. No, because then that would mean cruelty is right. That would mean to be cruel to someone is actually beneficial. You have to show everyone that you can't treat people like this and continue to have them serve you. You can't do it. And you do it every day that you wake up in this school and you keep the commandments that you were forced to break. But now you keep them. And in that way you prove that kindness will have victory over cruelty. I pray you understand. Let me get your questions. Or any more of the story? We good with that? Give me the other story I gave you.
Indigenous leaders call for Thunder Bay Police Service to be dismantled and re-examined.
Here we go. And now, once again, people from the states, indigenous people, is talking about mainly the so-called North American Indian, some of the Inuit and the people who are Inuits and Eskimos and garbage like that. But of course, the number is so small, and it's talking about you, right? It's talking about the people that were killed in those residential schools and hidden in graves that were unmarked. It's talking about the so-called North American Indian. All right, go ahead.
Thunder Bay, Ontario. Indigenous leaders demand the dismantling of the Thunder Bay Police Service on Wednesday and said it should be immediately barred from carrying out major crime investigations due to what they call repeated failures.
Once again, now remember this when everyone talks about how different it is in Canada than the States. How it's so much better here. It is not. It is not. Continue.
Speaking at the Ontario legislator, I.S.U.P.K Nation Grand Council Chief Reg Nijino said in light of their report, it is now painfully clear that Indigenous people have no trust in the police force and Thunder Bay Police Services Board. Mm-hmm. The Thunder Bay Police Service leaves a trait of inadequate investigations and magically managed record system and a lack of substantive oversight.
Meaning that they have a police force down there that's policing God's chosen people, the tribe of Gad, but they don't even keep records of it. Just like those graves that are unmarked. They throw them in the ground and forget where they put it. They don't even keep any records. They don't know who's in the jail. They don't know who got arrested last night because the people they're policing are people that don't matter. People that no one cares about. Think how many people are going to die right now because of this heat wave. Canada is going to have a heat wave. I think last year, 30 people died in one night in Ontario. 30 people. And no one gave a damn because the right people died. Poor, black, and indigenous people died. And so who gives a damn? They'll just die in every heat storm, heat wave, die during the winter, but no one cares about them at all. Right. And that's what this police department has been doing when civilians try to come in and give it oversight, they want to look at the records, but there aren't any records. They don't keep records. Continue.
Trust is broken every day. Thunder Bay Police Service remains in control of major crime investigations, and another day, indigenous people are at risk in the city.
You keep going. Meaning this police force is handling big crimes. They have a big responsibility, but they're absolutely, incompetent, and they don't care about the people that they are supposed to serve. And that's Canada. That's what's been happening here since the damn fur trade. The same exact thing. Continue.
No more families should have to endure the racism and continued victimization at the hands of the police.
Keep going.
It's pretty much a
Solid.
story.
But give me they have made war with them to be at peace with them in Psalms.
Okay.
You also give me no more shall the churl be called liberal. Give me that. There's another one on the tip of my tongue. Let's start with those two, all right? Everybody gets it, right? The Israelite School of UPK, we bring together the people that everyone else would have murdered. Everyone else would have killed. Everyone else would forget about it after the murder was committed. We bring those people together and we teach them that God is their protection, man. There's a protection out here that is so much greater than the people that want to kill you. The world right now is fighting over abortion. You have never heard the Israelite School of UPK, though we are against abortion, the same way we're against every murder and every act of cruelty. We don't petition to have laws changed in America. We don't try to change laws. America, let me tell you what should happen. Abortion should be absolutely legal for everyone to have. Everyone should be able to get an abortion. Everyone. You should be able to get an abortion the way you order a pizza. Everyone should have the ability to do it. Does everyone understand what I just said? Okay, now make sure. I want to make sure you heard me. In that kind of world where abortion was like ordering a pizza, my daughters would never get an abortion.
Right.
Never. I don't need laws to change
Right.
for my daughters to do what's right. Do you understand?
Come on.
If you can you imagine how many children are going to be born only because your mother would have had to drive 2 hours to get the abortion? That's it. Because abortion is still legal in America. You might have to drive an hour, right? You might, and guess what? Right? Let's say you're in a state where there's no abortion, right? Because the states that have abortion are going to increase funding. Go pull that up on the news if you want to play it. They're going to increase funding, increase money. There's going to be buses that will take you from Alabama to the state that has abortion, because now they'll pay for the bus. And Alabama will get more money for abortions. So now there'll just be a bus that will pick you up in front of the old abortion clinic in Missouri and drive you 2 hours to where the abortions flow like water. You're still going to be able to get abortions. If you pull it up for me, if anybody's saying it, right? You don't need laws to change if you have morals.
That's right.
If you have morals, you don't need laws to change. They changed the law. Now you can smoke weed. Everybody can smoke weed. My God, you got a ton of weed houses and drug houses here in Canada. We used to call them drug houses, which is what a cannabis center is. It's a crack house. It's just legal. But it's what got me arrested back in the day, right? If you sit up in some crack house, selling crack in a crack house, here comes the cops, right? And that's what a cannabis center is. It's a place for drug addicts, for people that have to have it. Can you imagine being in a business where your product is something that people are medically addicted to? Medically addicted to it.
Yeah.
A bun.
This is from the New York Times, and it reads, abortion funds raise millions in donations to help people seeking the procedure.
A murderess, you'll be able to kill your kid. Just relax. You don't have to break everybody's windows. If you want to kill that kid, there's going to be a bus that'll pick you up from your house. Take you over to Oregon. Take you to Canada. Take you over the border from America straight into Canada. They'll kill that baby with the head crowning out the vagina. A little bit of the head will crown out. They'll just put a hole right in the head as soon as it's coming out. I am not exaggerating. That's a real form of abortion. It's called partial birth abortion. Look it up real fast while we're right now. That's real abortion. It's going to spread everywhere now because of other states taking away a woman's right to abortion, which is why politics is so stupid, because you can't win in it because it changes with the whim of people's minds. They like it, it stops. I mean, they don't like it, it stops. They like it, they do it. Then 10 years later, they don't like it again. What the hell? What are you doing? Forget all of that garbage.
Right.
And do what's right, no matter what the laws say. Forget the law. Let them have abortions. Let them legalize heroin, and soon heroin will be legal. Remember, you heard it here.
Right.
Heroin will absolutely be legal. They already give you needles in the states right now where I'm from. You can get needles, and they give you safe injection zones. That's the prelude to legalizing heroin. Come on.
In British Columbia, which is a province in Canada, you can have up to 2.5 grams of hard drugs, meth, cocaine, whatever, and it's legal.
Heroin will be legal. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. Why is it inevitable? Why is it inevitable? Whoever answers this has a high understanding of white people, or Salaki, of our oppressor. Why will heroin be legal? Why will abortions increase in America? Abortions will absolutely increase because of this. Heroin will be legal. Weed is legal. Why?
To make money.
Give him a hand. He understands white people. That's it. White people are not complicated. Oppressors are not complicated. You know, people who have morals, that's complicated. Your morality. It's complicated. Why? Because your mother taught you something that was wrong. You grew up in a society teaching you something that's wrong, and so you struggle with doing the right thing. That's complicated to do the right thing. You might not know what the right thing is, because to do the right thing in most cases, you have to go against your base nature.
That's right.
To do what's right. You get my point, right?
Okay.
But when you're an oppressor, everything is about money. And eventually, whatever makes money is going to be legal. That's it. It's going to happen, and that's all. Over in California, they won the Cold War against the Russians because of crack. Because they sold crack in ghettos in Los Angeles. They sold crack cocaine, and they used the funds to buy guns for people in South America who they supported against the Russians. And they won the Cold War. Drugs are going to get legalized. Everybody understands that. So now when drugs become more legal, what in the hell are you going to do? Start shooting heroin? Huh? Well, why would you get an abortion just because abortions, are legal? What difference would it make if abortions are legal? Who cares?
That's right.
Let them legalize it. Let us know who really is a murderer and who isn't.
Right.
Let's find out. Make abortions legal for everyone, and let's see what you do. Have you really been having kids simply because you couldn't get to an abortion clinic? Is that why you had that kid? We'll see. We'll see now, won't we? A lot of your mothers out there, they probably told you. Because of course, our women have become so cruel to their children because of the oppressor. A lot of your parents in an argument, they'll let you know. Just get them mad enough. I knew I should have had an abortion. I was about to get an abortion. I knew I should have had that abortion, but I couldn't get one because the bus was late. I'll tell you, don't worry. You've probably been hearing this your whole damn life. All right. Talking about the time when your mother couldn't get cab fare to get to the abortion clinic, and that's why you're here. Let's find out who's a murderer and who isn't. Let's see. In the Israelite school of UPK, we don't need things to be illegal for us not to do them.
That's right.
You understand, right? Everything can be legal. Oh, brother, why? Because we don't eat pork. We don't eat shrimp. We're not homosexuals. And those things are encouraged in America. We know how to keep ourselves moral in the face of laws that might influence you to do what's wrong. All right? The minute you learn that, who in the hell cares what laws they pass? What difference does it make? Pork is legal, and I don't eat that. Abortions will be legal, And my daughters will not do that.
Right.
My sons will not encourage that. Everybody does. Come on.
Would Romans 2 and 14 be a precept?
Let's hear it.
Romans chapter 2, verse 14. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves.
Give him a hand. That's
right.
absolutely a precept. Exactly what I'm referring to. We're those Gentiles. Why? Because we're Canadians and Americans and Haitians and Quebec Noir. Is that the name of it? Quebecian. We're from Quebec. That much I'm clear on. Whatever they call us, who we actually are the children of God, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, in captivity, in exile from our homeland. And so because of that, we do by nature the things contained in the law. It's just in us naturally to give up pork and to give up shrimp, although it's legal to eat it and it's encouraged to eat it. And now here y'all got that Canadian bacon and that pea meal. I'm sure you had to giving up pea meal was like giving up cocaine. It's terrible. Confess. Pea meal is terrible, and you should have gave it up a long time ago. All right. It was a good thing to give it up. It was natural to you to just give it up. To say no more of that goddamn bacon and that pea meal, none of that filth. I'm off of that. No one had to change a law to get you off of it. You got off of it because you did it naturally. Everyone understands.
Go on.
Read a little more of that natural. Mm-hmm.
Romans chapter verse 14 again.
They do by nature.
Come. Romans chapter 2, verse 14. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves.
How did they not have the law? There was no one forcing them not to get an abortion. There was no one cutting off abortions. They didn't have police forcing them to do what's right. They did it without the law. They did it while there was every opportunity to murder your child. You still didn't do it. While there's every opportunity to eat pork and shrimp and crab and to smoke weed and to shoot heroin, you still didn't do it. Why? Because you are a law unto yourself, meaning we police ourselves. So we don't need them to, get rid of abortion. They can have abortion. You can have it all the time, every day, open 24 hours a day. It won't change whether or not we do it. I pray you understand.
That's right.
Next. Any questions up?
Allah, sir.
In the back. Please read it nice and loud so everyone can hear you, all right?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, verse 5. The vile person shall be no more called liberal.
What kind of person?
The vile person.
What kind of person?
The vile person.
The vile person shall be no more called liberal, man. And that happens too much in Canada. If not for the UPK, forget about it. You wouldn't think there is a race problem here. You would think everyone gets along and everything is fine until they see you at camp. Seeing you at camp wakes everybody up to the reality that's right in front of their face every day. The Lord prophesied this. No more shall the vile person be called liberal.
Right.
No more. There are people that are absolutely disgusting, and no one realizes how cruel they are. That's what the Catholic Church has done here in Canada. And there was such an awakening when the story about the residential schools came out. There was such an awakening that they burned down the Catholic churches.
God.
They burned them to the ground, I think 12 of them, because it was like a shock to the sensibility of everyone that this beautiful, wonderful Father McGillicuddy was doing this the whole time. And those nuns, I could have told you about them. You should have just asked me about them goddamn nuns. I mean, good God. That nun sitting there, brother, is the evilest thing that you can possibly imagine, and has an appetite for cruelty that does not get quenched at all. She can't beat enough. She can't pull a girl's hair out enough. She can't harm a child enough. She has no sex at all because the Father only wants men. The Catholic priest only wants men.
Right.
Now she's a woman who wants a man, but this priest doesn't look at her. All he wants is the boys. She's sexually frustrated. She's losing her goddamn mind, and she's going to pull your daughter's hair out by the root if she doesn't stop talking in class. That's what's going to happen. And now, of course, these people are being seen for who they actually are. And you call us a cult. We're crazy.
Right.
That's what we are. Not the Catholics, right? Who have, I think, hundreds of children in unmarked graves. We're nuts because our women wear what? Dresses?
Jeez.
We're crazy. And the Catholic Church has hundreds of kids in graves. And what? I got to hide the fact that I'm in the UPK? Nah. Hide the fact that you're Catholic.
Right.
Right.
Hide it. Don't tell anybody. Shh.
Right.
Don't tell a soul that you grew up going to church. You should be ashamed of it because you were Catholic. You were Catholic? Did you molest children? Were you helping that priest find new boys? Did you help dig a grave? Did you do that? You should be ashamed of being Catholic in Canada. I'm not being ashamed of being U1 West. You can forget that.
Right.
We don't kill children.
That's right.
We don't have unmarked graves. We don't molest kids. We don't beat women. We don't abuse kids. We don't do any of the things that you do. You be ashamed of being who you are. Me, I'm one West through and through, all through my pores. Everybody understands. I can be proud of our reputation. Now you tell me if the Catholic Church can say the same. But once again, if you're a coward and if you believe that these cruel people are called liberal, then you'll be afraid of being in the UPK. And a Catholic will walk around, proud, as if it's something to be proud of to be Catholic. Read that again, Art.
Oh, God. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, verse 5. The vile person shall be no more called liberal,
Keep going.
nor the churl said to be bountiful.
Nor the churl said to be bountiful. Why did those parents give their children to those residential schools? Because they thought those schools were going to make their children better people. That's why your mother put you in that Catholic school. She wanted the best for her child. They want the best for you. So they send you to some school thinking, well, if he goes to this school, he's going to get a good education. He's going to learn a trade. Oh, man, your parents send you to Catholics because they love you. You understand? They love you. If you're a kid and you don't have a father figure, what would a good mother do? You don't have a dad. You don't have someone in your life to be able to be a good father figure for you. What does a mother do in that situation if she loves her child? She goes to Father McGillicuddy and she says, well, spend time with my son. Throw a baseball around with him. Take him to Little League. They have that out here at Little League? What do they do for hockey?
Come on, Council.
What's the hockey league called for kids? Do y'all play hockey? I know it. I knew y'all weren't doing that, man. What can you do? Right. So black people in Canada don't like hockey. You don't want to break it down? Break it down for me. Come on.
You might find like the 5%.
So very few black people in Canada even like hockey.
That I've met.
Damn, come on.
So I just said, in my neighborhood when we were growing up, they took us to play hockey. So there would be Edomites who came to our neighborhood to play hockey with us. Those Edomites were undercover police officers who later became
good night.
sergeants and staff sergeants. So as we're growing up, they knew us by name.
They came there to be spies. And so, Jamal, what do you think about crime? Do you want to commit some crime? Damn. So then black people don't like hockey in Canada. Well, that's interesting, huh? So then what sports do black people like in Canada? Black and indigenous, of course. Come on.
Basketball, football.
Basketball, football, huh? Shalom. All right, moving on. Well, you're getting my point, right? Your mother would go to some priest to be a father figure for you. We'll find some coach somewhere to be a father figure for you. And what happens? The inevitable happens. That person molests her child. And of course, then you can't tell your mother because this person is someone your mother respects and looks up to. And those children in those indigenous schools and schools for indigenous people, they were sent there by loving parents, man. parents that love their children, because the cruel were called bountiful. They thought these cruel people would teach their child and would help their child to have an expanded world and to learn so much more than they could learn on the reservation. And of course, the reservation is a goddamn hellhole full of alcoholism, full of death and drugs. So a good parent wants their child to go to this residential school because the reputation of the Catholic Church is a lie. And that's why it's important for us to tell everyone who the Christians are. People think that we're wrong for how we talk about Catholics and Christians. If we don't talk about this, you will send your child to him. That's what you'll do. You'll send your kids there. You send your kids to church. Why? To learn about God, right? That's why you send them there, to learn about God when your child is going to get molested at the church you send them to. I pray you understand this. I know you already do because you lived it, all right. Well, give me the next question. Anything else? Good, you good to go here? Solid. Any questions in the room? Shit, what time? I mean, Slacky, what time are we done?
Oh, it's like the time check, sir, is 6:55. We had this venue until 8.
8? No problem.
Until 8.
I'll rock it out, all right? If you have a question, just raise your hand. It was another precept I asked for earlier.
It was Psalm 55, sir.
Psalms 55, read that.
Sorry.
And give me my tribal Gad precepts.
Okay.
Right,
Psalm 55 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
Psalm 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Is that the one?
Who's it?
I wanted the one he had made war with them to be at peace with him.
This is
It
it's like
be
20.
that.
It's 20.
That's 20, right? What verse were you in
I
just
was
now?
at 21.
Go to 19.
19. Psalm 55 and 19. God shall hear and afflict them, even he
I'm
that
sorry, 18.
he hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me.
Read that again.
He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against
Let me
me.
tell you, man, that's the kind of protection that you can only get from the Most High God. You know, the laws can't give you that kind of protection. The police can't give it to you. Politicians can't give it to you. You can't change laws to make kids safe. That doesn't work, and it can happen. Any law that you think you can change to make life better for yourself inevitably will be a law you regret ever involving yourself in, because it will hurt you. Let me give you another Canadian thing you can look up in Canada. There was a time in Canada when women complained that the police were not making enough arrests for domestic violence, right? The police would come to people's homes. People would be fighting inevitably. That happens in a lot of homes, right? Two married people fighting with each other. Well, women's groups came together in Canada and said, we want you to start making more arrests. The cops said, listen, you're in an argument. We're trying to stay out of it. We don't want to make an arrest. If we can get you two just to, separate for the night, we'll leave it alone. Women's groups in Canada went crazy. Go Google this. And they demanded that the police make more arrests. You're leaving these men in the homes. After you leave, then we're physically abused by these men. The police, under pressure, went and did it. And they increased. They decided that they were going to make an arrest virtually every time they were called for a domestic issue. Who can guess what happened? Blow my mind. Who can guess? Anyone? Give it a shot. Come on.
Women started to get arrested, sir?
Give him a hand. Which is the fun. The women started to get arrested.
Good.
And the women in Canada said, whoa. This ain't what we wanted. This is not what we were talking about. The cops began to ask, who started it? Who hit who first? Who ripped his shirt off? The police began to investigate the act of violence. And inevitably, they found out that these women are hitting men far more than men are hitting women.
Right.
And then the arrest of women went through the goddamn roof. And the women's groups were back at the police. You got to stop making so many damn arrests. Baby girl, listen, you should mind your damn business. You should stay out of this. Because you're going to regret involving yourself in this. This is not something that you should involve yourself in. Well, the problem, if you're having a problem in your home with your mate, the police can't solve it. Police are not the tool to solve problems in a home. You can't. They're going to come into your home. You're going to call the police on your boyfriend, and they're going to kill your boyfriend.
Yeah.
When that's not what you wanted, you didn't want them to kill your boyfriend. You might have wanted him to make him leave, which is what every woman wants to use the police as a tool to get a man to do something. Right? You won't leave. I'm calling the cops. They'll make you leave. What you'll find out, of course. One second. What you'll find out, of course, is that the police are not a good tool to use in your marriage. And what happens is they murder your husband or they arrest you. And if you've ever seen a woman get arrested who calls the cops, it's the funniest thing in the world. There is nothing more funny than a woman. Yes, get him out of here. He can't. I told him to leave. And suddenly the cops get in there. Well, who scratched his face? I scratched his face because I told him to leave. What the hell are you doing? What in the a woman getting locked up who called the cops is hilarious. It's hilarious because she cannot understand. It's like you arrested me for hitting him. They can't even grasp that hitting you is illegal. It's like a weird thing. When the cop says, "Did you hit him?" I sure did hit him. I told him to leave, and he wouldn't leave. And the cop was going, "Dang, you just confessed to assaulting him." But the sister doesn't realize even that she can't hit you. She thinks this, because policing is so terrible, a woman thinks it's legal for her to hit you, but only you can't hit her. Where did she get that from? Anybody want to guess? The church. Never hit a woman under any circumstances. No matter what she does. And what does that teach women? She can hit you, but you can't hit her. But then the police are there and she says, "I sure did hit him." You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Maybe we should handle this a better way. Right? Maybe we should not be animals in our home and not expect the police to come and tame our animal instincts. You want to stay out of this. You want to stay out of laws. It's not going to help you. What helps you is morality. And we believe that these people can help us. And because of that, we kill ourselves more and we ask to be murdered. Read it one more time.
Psalm 55:18. He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me.
You get that. Keep going.
For there were many with me. Verse 19. God shall hear and afflict them.
Oh, I heard you understand that. There were many with me. God shall hear and afflict them. There are many people who are with me. And God will hear us and afflict the people who are attempting to harm us. God protects the unborn baby. God does that. God protects you in your ghettos and in your slums and in the reservations. God protects you. You don't need some politician to do it. You don't need some cop to do it. Continue.
Even he that abideth of old.
You get even he that abides of old. What does that term mean, abide? Meaning he's always been here. The protection that you've been looking for, that you go to the police for or Congress for, that protection has always been here, man, available to you. You could have always turned to God and he would have seen you in your lowest state. In that time when you thought no one could help you, God could have helped you. God could have been there for you. But unlike the police or some politician, you can't pay for God's help. You're going to have to earn it up. You're going to have to be a child worth saving if you want God's help.
Right.
Continue.
Salah. Because they have no changes.
The term Salah means start the music or begin the music. Continue.
Because they have no changes.
Keep going.
Therefore they fear not God.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with
Let
him.
me just break down that part if you need it. Because they have no changes, therefore they fear not God. Because nothing changes in their world, they think God won't change anything in their world. Our oppressor has been in charge for so long, my God. He thinks that nothing can happen to make him lose his position. It's like someone that constantly wins. So because they win so much, they expect to win. And they become arrogant and proud. And then one day, quickly, their downfall comes. Continue.
Verse 20. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
He hath done what?
Put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him.
He hath done what?
Put forth his hand
He has put forth his hand. Go ahead.
against such
Against such. Go ahead.
as be at peace with him.
As be at peace with him. Who's been more at peace with the our oppressor than the so-called North American Indian?
Right.
No one has been more kind to him.
Right.
Our oppressor would have never survived here in North America without the help and the kindness of the tribe of Gad, the Lord's chosen people. They would have never survived here, never made it through one winter. They would have starved to death or died from exposure if not for the North American Indian who was there for them, who gave them kindness. Why do you think that these so-called North American Indians gave their children to white people to raise? Because they trusted them. They were kind to them. They trusted you with their children, with their very children. And what did you do? You murdered them. You dug a hole and threw their children in holes and told the parents nothing about it. Whether or not, we better decide whether or not cruelty is going to win. We better decide quickly. Because if what our oppressor has done to us goes unspoken about, then cruelty won. Cruelty won. He put forth his hand against someone that's at peace with him. It wasn't self-defense. He was kind. The North American Indian was kind to our oppressor, and he still murdered him. Continue.
He hath broken his covenant.
He broke his covenant. How did he break his covenant? Over 176 treaties.
Right.
The North American Indian made over 176 treaties here in North America with the indigenous people, namely the tribe of Gad, and he broke 176 treaties, over 176. He broke every last one, including a covenant of trust that a mother makes with school, that a mother makes with a Catholic priest, trusting that this Catholic priest will watch out for her child, will protect her child as if it was his own. They broke that covenant as well here in Canada. And we can't talk about it. We're crazy because we speak about it. We're crazy because we bring it up. Okay. I think you're crazy to ever trust a Christian, to ever trust an oppressor,
Right.
to ever give your child to a Catholic priest.
Right.
I think you're crazy. We'll see who's right.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see soon. Anything else? Anything else here?
Did you want verse 21?
You think so? Go ahead.
Psalm 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Here we go. Here we go. This is why people think we're crazy and they think Catholics are, righteous, loving people because of the way we speak.
Right.
The way we speak. I know it's rough. It's supposed to be like that. We speak exactly the way we've been trained to speak from Commanding General YAHANNA. Commanding General YAHANNA got it from the men above him back in the 70s and early 80s. And they got it from the Bible. They got it from the prophets of God who spoke the way we speak. And of course, the Catholics are gentle speakers. And they're sweet talkers because they're liars.
Right.
His words are smoother than butter. Continue.
But war was in his heart.
But what?
War was in his heart.
But what?
War was in his heart.
And what so many people don't understand here in Canada is that there is a war that's psychological, right? There's a war that's not just bullets and guns and bombs like in the Ukraine. There's a war that happens every day to a child in school. Every day. Every day when you send that child to school, that child is being indoctrinated with white supremacy.
That's right.
Every day with the Christmas and from a young age. From a young age, your children are under attack. And then, of course, they're under attack physically when they're being murdered by a Catholic priest. And there's a war being fought in Canada that no one thinks about, that no one cares about, except for Officer Abun, and give him a hand again. Come on, next. Is there more there or not?
Come on, I'm gonna finish.
Go ahead.
His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
His words are softer than oil, yet they're drawn swords. Anybody telling you that there is no racism and you shouldn't talk about race
is attacking you. It's an attack against you. And you have to really get this in your brain. Someone's saying, well, can't you calm down your approach? Can't you change how you talk? Why do you have to bring up race all the time? No problem. There's a woman being raped over there. Tell her not to scream. Just tell her. She's being raped. Just say, keep it down. I'm trying to have dinner. I'm trying to have a business. I'm trying to make money in the mall today. You're being raped. Don't allow your rape to interfere with my business. Don't allow your rape to interfere with my dinner or my Christmas dinner or my Halloween. Right? You would never do something like that, right? Because you know morally you're supposed to care about that woman in trouble, even if you're not in trouble.
Right.
You're supposed to care about her.
That's right.
You're supposed to care about a woman who's in trouble more than you care about your day, your Christmas, your Thanksgiving, or your pleasure. If someone is in trouble, we should forget our happiness and save her.
Right.
Well, to ask anyone in the UPK not to bring up race and talk about race is to ask us not to save the lives of people who are in trouble. And nothing should interfere with that. I pray you understand.
Okay.
Anything else?
That was it on that, sir.
Good to go here?
Come on, sir.
Solid. Give me the precept I asked for earlier. How we what time on?
Are we good? 7-11, sir.
Solid. Till 8, right?
Yes, sir.
Solid. I got a few of them, all right. Read the precept I asked you about. I'm sorry, you recall? The one about how can one come down from heaven?
Come.
Come
You got it. You got it.
on, sir. Salakia. It was in the book of John. This is the book of John, chapter 3 and verse 13.
All right.
And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from
Say it one
heaven.
more time with the ice, please, Doctor. Go ahead.
But he that came down from heaven.
Let's go above it, all right? You might need this 3 verses above this, all right? Now, this is a difficult breakdown, which, of course, you cannot learn outside of the Israelite school of UPK under Commander General YAHANNA.
Right.
Fake Israelite groups can't break this down to you. Fake Israelite groups, I don't know what the hell they doing there. I assume that they exist simply not to be in the UPK. That's all I say. There's somebody that says, hell no, I ain't joining them. So they make their own group. All right, and I can dig it. I can certainly understand why you would do something like that. Because, of course, someone like you, I would grind up like bones in the dust. So you should never join the UPK because I would just truly, truly hurt you every day. So I can certainly understand why you might create a group where you won't get hurt by me. I can get that. All right, but you can't learn these breakdowns outside of here either.
Right.
Everybody understands that? All right, so let's go up 3 verses.
3 verses. Come. Verse 10. Yahushua answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel?
2 more verses.
Come. Verse 8. The wind bloweth where
2
it.
more.
Come. Verse 6. That which is born of the flesh is
2
flesh. Come. Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born?
1 more.
Come. Yahushua answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God.
Now, to understand this, this is where this begins. Everything I'm going to read after this is about this. Except that Christ came before people who didn't believe in the truth. He came in front of the Sadducee and Pharisee, which were like the religious leaders of their time. So think your Catholic priests, your preachers, things like that. They didn't believe in the truth, but they claimed to be leaders in Israel. They claimed to be experts on God, right? Like your mother's pastor or preacher or priest, right? They claimed to be experts. I appreciate you. And then Christ told them, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Go ahead.
Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born when he is old?
That's what he said. How can a man be born when he is old? What are you talking about? How can a man that's already born and already grown old How can he be born again? It sounded ridiculous to Nicodemus. Keep going.
Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb?
See how crazy that sounded to him? Is he going to enter his mother's womb again? He's going to crawl back up through the birth canal and come out again? What are you talking about, man? No one can be born again. This person who was a biblical expert, an expert in the law, he could not understand what Christ was talking about. Continue.
And be born.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. Yahushua answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God.
Then he broke it down again. Except a man is born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot make the kingdom of God. Keep going.
That which is born of the flesh is flesh.
Here we go. Now he's saying this in direct response to Nicodemus's question. Nicodemus said, how can a person be born again? What, are they going to crawl back into their mother's womb again? Come out again? Christ, his response to that was, except you're born of water and the Spirit, you cannot do what?
He cannot enter into the kingdom of God.
He cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That's him cutting Nicodemus for his answer. What did Christ mean when he said you must be born again? Who can bring it down? Let's go. Anyone? Up front. You have to start over. You have to have a new birth. And the new birth is not from your mother's womb. The new birth is what? You're right, but it's not from your mother's womb, which your first birth was when you came out your mother's womb, right? But this new birth is what? Spiritual. The first birth is physical, carnal. It's, your father had sex with your mother, you were born, you came out your mother's womb. That's your first birth, right? Christ said this new birth is being born of water and of spirit. This birth is not physical. It's not a physical birth, right? It's not the kind of birth that they're fighting about right now in Washington, D.C., about abortion, whether abortion should be legal or not legal. Let me tell you, some of you mothers, you had your child and you were a terrible mother. Absolutely terrible. And you had the kid. You didn't have an abortion, but you killed his spirit nonetheless. Didn't you, right? You killed her spirit nonetheless. You had your child. I guess we should all clap, right? I guess we should all clap and thank God that you didn't have an abortion.
Right.
Well, after the child was born, you didn't breastfeed the child. After the child was born, you brought a parade of men into the child's life. After the child was born, you beat the child with extension cords. After the child was born, you smoked weed and got high in front of your child. I know I should thank you for not having an abortion while the abortion, controversy is so big, right? But I do wish you could have been a better mother. That would have been nice too. I thank you for not killing your kid. I appreciate you. I wish you could have been a mother worth more than 2 goddamn cents. That would have been nice as well. It would have been nice for you to treat your child a little better. Be a little kind to your daughter, as opposed to hating her because her breasts are growing. Hating her because she had her period. Now she's a sexual competition to you around the home. So now it's time to treat her like garbage. I know you didn't have an abortion, and we thank you. But it also matters the kind of mother that you are, right?
Right.
That also matters as well. Well, this next birth is spiritual, and it fixes the old one. It fixes that one, that carnal one, that physical one. You came out your mother's womb, and you became the kind of garbage that your mother taught you to be. But this next birth fixes all of that, because this next birth does what? Whoever says what I'm thinking right now, I will be impressed with. This next birth does what? Read my mind. Focus in on it. Come on.
Changes the way you act.
You better bring me home. You walk down the street, but you didn't go in. Go ahead. You're walking down the same street, but you're not paying attention to what's in front of you, what's right in front of you. You need this to cut Christians. You need to not forget what we're reading right here. We're reading something, right? And while you're breaking the scripture down, right, at camp, you got to be tied to that precept in your head. So it's like in your mind, you're going off to explain it, but you have to be tied to what we're reading right now, which right in front of you. This next birth does what?
Allows you to enter in the kingdom.
I'll take two more and then that's it. No. Let me have a drink, give you a little time. I'm just doing this to give you time. Up front.
So like you said, the next birth changes your spirit.
You're saying the same thing, but you're not tied to what we are reading right now. It would also show me that you understand what we're reading right now, right? This next birth, one more, you want to give it a shot? You don't have to. I'm just offering. This next birth, this next birth washes you of the first birth. Cleans you up. Why did I say clean you up? Why did I say wash? Who knows? In the back. Yeah, and you got to keep that in your head the whole time. If you're battling a Christian, you're breaking it down, you're crushing them, you're cutting them. They're on the verge of crying. And the whole time, you got to be tied to what you're reading. Tied to it. This is how you know if you're not tied to it. If when you go back to the reader and you don't remember what in the hell you're breaking down, you weren't tied to it. If you go read, what? Oh, what are we talking about? The color of Christ. It's because you weren't tied to it while you were breaking it down. You got to tie your head to it. It's a discipline. You're breaking it down, but tie yourself to it, right? And that's how you'll cut Christians in a more efficient way. And the cut will be deeper and deeper until they cry. You understand, right? The next birth, the second birth, washes me of the first one. I came out my mother's womb already. And it was terrible growing up. It was horrible. You got nothing but scars. Nothing but painful memories. That's childhood. Congratulations. You didn't get an abortion. I should thank you every goddamn day. I'm sure at Mother's Day, so you should be handed flowers and candies every day simply for not having an abortion. You could have cut down on molestations a little bit. That would have helped, right? You could have, maybe not let so many strange men coming in and out the house. Maybe get a little less high. That could have helped after you didn't get an abortion.
Right.
I know I should thank you for having you. You only got one mother. You only got one woman to beat you with an extension cord as well. And to hold your head underwater. Or to hang you to your grandmother. A lot of you call your grandmother mama. You know why, don't you? Everybody knows why you call your grandma mom, don't you? Just think about it for a second, you'll understand. You'll know why your grandmother is mom. She's mom. Because your grandmother, of course, was the actual one that took care of you. Because your mother was too busy chasing penis and or vagina and or drugs all through the community. So your grandmother is mama because she, of course, was in the house and stayed home. Your mom didn't have an abortion. She could have done a little better in other areas. Well, when you come into the truth, Christ washes all of that away. Now you're clean. No more of your mother's influence, your father's betrayal. No more of that. You can get clean from that. This next birth cleans you of the first birth. Everyone understands, right?
Come.
You got to be born of water and of what? Spirit. So this new birth gives you what? Please, young man.
What's a new soul, a renewed spirit?
And what does that mean?
Well, we said okay. So you don't have the same vibe as you had before?
Give him a hand. I wasn't sure if he was going to know why I asked him. He realized it. That's why I asked you. Because this new birth gives me a whole different vibe, a whole different mood than the one I had that I got from my family and from my block, and my neighborhood, and the province I lived in. I'm different now. I know that's how they behave there. I get it. They smoke weed there. I get it. I'm from there, and everybody there gets high. But I have a different spirit. Right? I have a different vibe. I got that with my new birth. Everybody understands?
Come.
All right. Please continue.
Come. And that which is born of the Spirit is spirit.
All right, good. And that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. The thing that is born not from your mother's womb not from the father that you hate or betrayed you or blah, blah, blah. You have a new spirit and you are spirit because you have a new spirit. I'll explain. Keep going.
Verse 7. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Verse 8. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh.
Don't marvel that I said you must be born again. The wind bloweth, and you can hear the wind blow, but you don't know where that wind came from, do you? If you're outside and you just hear the wind wishing by your ear, you know the wind is blowing because you can hear it. But where did that wind come from? You don't know. Keep going.
And thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh,
Mm-hmm.
and whither it goeth.
And that same wind that you hear wishing by your ear, you don't know where it came from, and you don't know where that wind is going after it leaves your ear. You know it's there, but you don't know where it came from and where it's going. Stay with me. Keep going.
So is everyone that is born of the Spirit.
Everyone that is what?
Born of the Spirit.
So is everyone that's born of the Spirit. They're just like what? They're just like what?
The wind.
The wind. And how are they like the wind?
Because you don't know why they act the way
You
they act.
don't know why they're doing this. You don't know where it comes from. You don't know what it's going to cause. All you know is what?
What it is?
All you know is what? Right there in front of you. Is that you hear it. That's all you know. And that's how people treat you. All they know is the noise you make. You make a ton of noise. Give yourself a hand. Ooh, you make some noise. You made noise today, I heard. I heard the devil out there didn't like that noise you made. Who did she spit on? She spit on somebody? A bun?
Captain Isaiah and I believe
You guys spit on. Give yourselves a hand, man. And Captain Isaiah, give him a hand. You took that full devil spit, huh? Don't worry, you're protected. Don't worry about COVID and none of that. I know you're scared to death. You think you got full-blown HIV. You do not. You do not. The Most High protects men to go to camp. I pray you understand that. They don't like the sound that they hear. They hate it. They hate hearing you. Your family hates hearing you. The neighborhood, the shopping center hates hearing you because they, come on, because they don't understand it. They don't understand it, just like the wind. They just hear it. And because they hear it and not understand it, because they hear it and they don't understand it, they marvel at what they hear. You know what that means to marvel? They're shocked. What did he just say? What did you just say? They marvel at it because they can't understand it. Everybody understands. Come on.
Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be?
Once again, he doesn't understand. How can these things be? Now remember, Christ just broke down wind. He didn't understand the wind concept. He didn't get it. Go ahead.
Come. Yahushua answered and said unto him, art thou a master of Israel, and knoweth not these things?
You telling me you're a master of Israel. You're a preacher and a reverend and a priest. And you don't understand what in the hell I'm talking about? You don't get it? I just broke the whole thing down about the wind. You don't understand. You know why you don't get it? Because you are not spirit. And he that is born of spirit is spirit. Meaning that thing that you don't understand, that you think you're crazy, your mind just is blown because you don't get it, you don't understand it, you think we're crazy. That's because we are the Spirit of God operating in front of you. That thing that is born of spirit is spirit, meaning it's God working. God is working in that thing that you can only hear but can't understand, just like the wind. God is the one that sends that wind that's blowing. He sent that as well. You don't know where that's going. You don't know where it came from, but you hear it. That is what people hear when you speak. It's something that, is so abrasive and it jars them because they hear it in their ear, but they hear it and don't understand it, don't get it. And then they marvel at it. They're crazy. Nicodemus said, how can this be? What in the hell are you talking about? You telling me you're a man of God and you don't get this? This is something you don't understand? How can anyone in Canada be shocked at what we say when the police said it? You're doing studies. The study is saying it. Why is this shocking that we act like this?
Right.
That thing to this day bewilders me. Listen, the UPK didn't pay for the study. We didn't ask for the police to study the thing.
Right.
Why are you doing studies? You know the facts of the thing that we're talking about, and we're still crazy for talking about it? Come on, I got to go. I have to go. Everybody understands, right? I got to get the hell up out of here. All right? You shouldn't marvel at it. Don't let it blow your mind. We're speaking about a thing that you know is happening, that your police and your governors and the province is doing a study on. We're talking about it. We have been talking about the Catholic Church before the study of the residential schools.
Right.
Since 1969, we have been telling people what was happening in the residential school before the story came out. Why? God told us. God told us. And so we're telling you. So although it's crazy to you, because you don't understand it, you have to recognize that it is God because the proof is right in front of you. Keep going.
Come. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know.
I pray you understand that. We speak that we do know. We knew that they were hiding bodies in the ground of residential schools. We've been saying it. You brothers have been able. You've been in the truth right now in this room before that story came out, correct? Raise your hand if you've been in the UPK before the big story of the residential schools came out. Raise your hand. Okay, so Dan, you know we've been saying this before the story. Before the research, before the graves were found, we've been saying this. Well, here's what you should be confirmed in. We know what the hell we're talking about, baby girl. We know. But we're saying it's true. It's true. It's clear. It's evident that it's true. We're saying it because it's true. We know what we're talking about. Come on.
Come. And testify that we have seen.
Jesus Christ. We're testifying what we've seen. Right? The thing that you ignore because it would make you enemies at your job. A lot of you can't even grow your beard because, I guess Jeremy at your job might be offended by it or some garbage like that. You can't cover a woman. God forbid you cover your head. If you covered your head, then of course your aunt is going to go, what you into? What you doing? What's happening? I hear you. God forbid your auntie doesn't agree with every goddamn thing you do. I understand.
Right.
But it should be clear that we know what we're talking about. We're telling you about things that we have seen. We look at it. We examine it while you ignore it. Continue.
And ye receive not our witness.
You know what you do? Read that again.
Ye receive not our witness.
You hate what the UPK says. You hate what Commander General YAHANNA says. You can't stand it. Right. Even though you know that everything we say eventually comes out on the news that it's true. And you will hear about blacks and Hispanics being the chosen people of God on the news. You're going to hear about that. That's going to happen. Someone else will say, well, the North American Indians are the tribe of Gad. They are the Israelites. And black people in America and North America, they are the Israelites. That everyone will say it. Hopefully you'll believe it. Then just remember that we knew it before man knew it. Before anyone else knew it. We say it, and you don't accept our witness. You hate the fact that we say it. We go out in the street, we got to get spit on and abused and violated. All of your mothers hate us. All of your aunts and your family members, you can't stand us. Well, who in the hell did you want your daughter to marry? Huh? Right. Can you imagine how ridiculous it is for some woman to get angry at her daughter for marrying a brother in the UPK?
Right.
Who did you think she was going to get? You think she's a prize? She's not. That girl that you raised was going to get dug out by every nigger with a blunt. Whoever had weed was going to have your child.
Right.
That is the truth of her, because that's how you raised her.
Right.
So now she marries a brother in the UPK. You're angry because she married one of us. You don't know your child. You don't know her. You don't know what you raised. Being one wife to a man in the UPK is better than being the only wife to a man in the world. Don't you ever forget that. Don't you ever forget. It is better to be one wife of a man in the UPK than to be the only wife of a man in the world. Now, you can test what I'm saying, or you could just believe it, because I know what the hell I'm talking about. Keep going.
If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things?
I told you earthly things and you don't believe it. What's the earthly thing he told them and they didn't believe it? The wind. The wind. I said the wind blows. You don't get it. You don't know where it came from. You don't. Damn, man, that's science. You don't believe me? I told you something earthly and you still don't believe me. How in the hell can I drop something heavy on you?
Right.
I can't drop anything heavy on you.
Right.
You don't know about wind.
Right.
I can't tell you something that's spiritual, that's heavy. I can't tell you something that's hard to understand from God, because you don't even get the wind breakdown I tried to give you a second ago. Keep going.
And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven.
Here we go. Now, I just tried to help you out the whole time. The whole time I tried to give you a hand, all right? And no man can ascend up to heaven except for one. Go ahead.
But he that came down from heaven.
But he that came down from heaven. Break it down. Let's go. What does it mean? What is it talking about? What does it mean to ascend to heaven? What does this statement mean? No man can ascend to heaven except one that comes down from heaven. How about this? What is it, instead of breaking it down, I'll save you the time from getting saying it wrong 1,000 times. What does it sound like it means that it definitely does not mean? Okay, it sounds like something, but it absolutely does not mean that. Sisters, you can give it a shot too. Don't be scared. What does it sound like it means, but it absolutely does not mean that? Let's start with that.
So like, I don't want
Officer, come
when
on.
you die, you go to heaven.
When you die, you go to heaven because of what term in it that does it seem like that?
Because it says
Ascend into heaven. So it seems like it means whoop, going up into heaven. But you know for a fact it can't mean that because of what? Because it absolutely cannot mean the thing that is. Come on, give it a shot, warrior.
It's like, sir, I had another one I was going to say, like when stupid Christians think that the lake of fire is literal hell beneath the earth.
Okay, now you're coming home now, but you got to walk in the door.
It's like,
And you got to use what's right in front of you. Christians think that hell is, what burning hell is, your skin being on fire, right?
Okay.
And they think that going up into heaven is whoop, going up into heaven. But you know it can't be that, because that would be, you just have to be here for this breakdown today. I explained it earlier. That would be like thinking that being born again is crawling up into your mother's womb and coming out again. That's what they thought, didn't they? I just said that earlier. They thought that being born again meant what? Coming out of your mother's womb again. That's what Nicodemus thought. How can this be? How can a man who is old come out of his mother's womb again? That's like the Christians that think ascending into heaven is going up in the clouds. Burning in hell is being set on fire, right? And thinking that, being born again is coming out your mother's womb, going up into heaven is the same thing. That's carnal. That's carnal. And you think carnally, which is why you can't understand something that is spiritual.
Right.
So now we know it's not that, right? It's not what it sounds like on the surface, which is the whole thing he's trying to break down. Right? He tried to break down the wind. He didn't get that. He's giving you an example of something. He didn't get that. We know it's not the carnal explanation. So then what is it? What does it mean to come down from heaven? What is a Christian going to say about come down from heaven? What is a Christian going to say? Read that part right there. You just read it. Come on.
And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven.
What is a Christian going to say coming down from heaven is? Please.
Like literally coming down from
Literally, boom, you came out the clouds, you're here on your earth. About to die, you're burning in the lake of fire, your skin is on fire. Be born again, you come out your mother's womb again as a grown man. They think carnally about everything. And that's so many bad breakdowns come from someone who just can't fathom spiritual things. They don't get it. So when they read something in the Bible, they go, clearly that's what it means. It means this thing on the surface because they don't understand it at all. Because they don't think spiritually. They think about sex and money and food. And so when they read the Bible, they go, okay, well, that means this one thing. And that's all it means. But that's not how God works because God is spirit. You get the point. So now we know what it doesn't mean. So what does it mean to descend from heaven, to come down from heaven? You know what it doesn't mean. Now tell me what it does mean. It's so simple, and you're going to hate yourself for not knowing because you absolutely do know. Just think spiritually. Okay, come on.
Salakia, General, can I give it a shot? Would it be reincarnation, regeneration back into the earth, sir?
Coming back, that's physical. Reincarnation is physical, isn't it? Right? Coming out your mother's womb, coming back in the earth. This is spiritual. You coming down the street. But remember, come down from heaven. We went over ascend. Now we're talking about coming down from heaven. What does it actually mean to come from? I'll give you a hint. You come from God. You come from the Most High. You come from heaven. Have you ever heard the term, well, this person is heaven sent? You ever heard that term before? So, he's heaven sent. Listen, imagine you're having a heart attack. Or I'll give you a better one. Your house is on fire. You're trapped in the back room of your house. You cannot get out of your house. What do you think at that moment? You're going to die, right? All of a sudden, a fireman kicks in the door with a water cannon, sprays the room down, picks you up, lowers you out of the window. What is the first thing you will say? Quickly, the first thing that comes to your mind.
Thank God.
Thank God. Why will you thank God for a fireman coming to your house? Why?
Because you thought a few seconds ago there was no real way that you would be able to.
Why do you say thank firemen then? Why do you say thank God? And that's absolutely what you're going to say if it happens.
Right.
That's what you've already said when you've gotten shot or something in. Boom, oh, thank the Lord, it missed. Oh my God, thank God. You're going to thank God when the fireman helped you, when something else helped you, some other person helped you. But you're going to thank God. Why, officer?
Because you know the Lord sent that fireman.
Because you know that God sent that fireman. People in the UPK, we come down from heaven. We're God sent. Just like a fireman that comes into your life at the right time, at the time when you need him. But it's not man you should thank. You understand? It's not us that's done it. It's the Most High that's done it. And we come from him. And that's what Christ is trying to tell you. There is no one that can ascend to heaven who hasn't come down from heaven. God sent him to teach people. And because God sent him to teach people, he is going to ascend into heaven. Keep going. I'm trying not to give it to you. Keep going.
Come on, Khan. Even the Son of Man, which is in heaven.
Man, who's the Son of Man in this context? Christ.
Come on.
Why is it saying he's in heaven then? If he's right there talking to Nicodemus. Come on, just think spiritually. Don't think literal. Don't think crawling up into your mother's vagina again. Just think spiritual. How is Christ in heaven? Come on. He's with God right then, right now. Give him a hand.
Right.
That's correct. The only person that can ascend to heaven is someone that came from God and who's with God right now, as you hate me and are about to kill me. So remember that. The person you're about to kill came from God and is with God right now.
Right.
And you're going to kill me for what reason? Come on. You're going to kill Christ for what reason?
It's like because you marvel at the thing.
Right there, because you don't understand
Right.
what he's saying. That's why you're going to kill him. Because you're more. Because what are you talking about? Why are you saying these things? That's racist. Why are you talking like that? You're going to kill him over that.
Right.
Simply because you are dumb. You're killing the wrong person. So like it. Don't kill other people because you don't understand anything. So we got to die because you don't get what we're trying to say. That's what Christ is trying to say. I came from God. I'm with God right now. And because of that, I'm going to ascend into heaven because that's the only people that ascend into heaven. People that came down from heaven. There's a thing that only happens to people. There's a thing, but I'll give you the answer. Only people who came from God and are with God ascend into heaven. Keep going.
Come. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness.
Did what?
Lifted up the serpent in the wilderness.
So many of you might not understand this. I'll explain it first. There was a time in Israel, right, where there was a great plague spread through the camp in Israel. Much like the COVID-19 virus, except this was the plague of being snake bit. Everyone was getting bit by a snake. We're living outside. We're sleeping outside. And a plague of snake bites began to happen among the people in Israel. And if you've been bitten by a snake, well, it's a terrible thing. And if you're outside and away from medical attention, you're going to die, right? And so it was a plague, and the people kept getting bitten by snakes as they were outside. And they went to Moses for help. They didn't know how to solve the problem. And the Lord told Moses to make a golden snake and to put it up on a stick and to raise the stick up above the people. And all the people had to walk under the serpent that was on a staff. And as they walked under that serpent, the snake stopped biting them. No more snake bites. The snake bites went away. I'll explain to you the spirit behind it if you need me to. But to stay on topic, that's what happened. Everyone went under the snake that was up on a stick, and the snake stopped biting the children of Israel. Now read that part one more time.
And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up.
The Son of Man must be lifted up. Come on. I'm fine for now. I'm going to eat all whatever's left. I'll eat. All right, let's move on. I don't know if you know, but I don't miss many meals. I was in the gym today getting so big. I wanted to be at camp, but nobody called me, so I assumed y'all didn't need me out there today. I said, these cats is grown now, Jack. I mean, what did Junior High recently? He said, Mahayaman, make sure that you tell me when the brothers set up a new school. I said, I will tell you if they tell me, because they don't tell me a goddamn thing. I call Azania, I call a Bungill man. I said, where is the camp? I would like to come to the camp. I didn't get any return calls. I said, I guess they straight. It was a time y'all needed me out there in that street, huh? I guess y'all good to go now. Moving on. Everybody grows up. I dig it. No sweat. You fully grown now, bud. Azania, I get you. No problem. Get it on. now moving on. Israel had to walk under this serpent. The snake bites stopped. Christ is saying, so shall the Son of Man ascend into heaven. Now, what does it mean to ascend into heaven? Now we know it doesn't mean we get taken up into the clouds and we get a halo and all that. What does it actually mean? What was Christ actually talking about? Christ ascended into heaven. Just like what? Just like what? That's what I need now. Just like what? It's right in front of your face. You just read it. It's right there. Just think spiritually because it's right in front of you. Anything else? Just like, I got to give it to you for time's sake. You want to try? Come on.
Just like the serpent.
Just like the serpent, because the serpent got put on the what?
On the stick.
On the stick. And it went up And the people walked under it, and they were healed. Well, the people are about to get healed again, which is what Christ is talking about. He's about to go up on that mountain, right? I believe it's called Mount Golgotha. He's going up on that mountain, and he's going to be in the sky on a cross, dying for the nation of Israel. What is the point he's trying to make to the Sadducee and Pharisee? If you can sum this up, I'll be impressed. Sis. Okay, you're right, but not on topic. He's making a whole point that begins where I started up earlier. He's making a point. I'll give you 2 more tries, then I gotta get it to you. Officer.
Yeah, we got to be born again.
No, that's not the point. That's what he was saying, and then as he said that, the Sadducee and Pharisee interrupted and said, "What in the hell are you talking about? How can a man come out of his mother's womb twice?" One more.
So like, is he saying that they will kill him for following God?
You're walking down the street. Here we come. Here's the point. The only people that will be killed are the people that come from God. That's who you kill. The only people that ascend into heaven are the people who come down from God and are with God right now. The only people that you want to murder are people who God sent. That's who you want to kill. Are people who is with God right now. And what is the reason that you're killing these people with God? Because you're too carnal to understand what they're saying. And because of your lack of understanding, you kill men who came from God. And now he's about to ascend into heaven. He's going up on that cross. If you were to look at Christ, if you were living 2,000 years ago when Christ was alive, and on the day he was murdered and crucified, if you wanted to look at him on the cross, everyone pretend you're looking at him right now. Look in the direction you would have to look at Christ if you were there. Ready? Go. Right? You have to do this. You have to look what? Up in the heavens. Because he's there on a cross. So if I wanted to, when his mother came to see him and was crying, and the sisters that came to see him, they had to look in what direction? He ascended into heaven because he came down from heaven, because he was with heaven. And that's why they killed him. And that's how life works. The people who they want to kill are not evil people. Evil people are celebrated. I don't know if you know that.
Right.
I see a lot of rappers in the UPK. Get your rapping.
That's right.
Well, you do have a disadvantage, however.
Right.
Here's your disadvantage if you're a UPK rapper. You don't get high, you don't tell people to get high, and you don't murder people and tell people to murder people. You don't wear dresses, and you don't tell people to wear dresses. And that is a disadvantage because people don't like that. People like it when you're in a dress. I don't know if you know that. It's hard when you're in UPK, you're like, that nigga's wearing a dress again. Damn it. You don't know why he's wearing a dress again? Put it together. He's not wearing a dress again to lose money, right? Why is he wearing a dress?
Salakish, I don't know. I kind of have some with the same topic of people in the world like the fact that you rap about sleeping with another man's woman.
They like it.
Stop.
Yeah, he's not doing it, to ruin his reputation. He's doing it to sell a lot of records because people like it when you're in a dress. People like evil people. Huh? People love them. But when you're righteous, you go up on a cross because you came down from God. That's how you get killed, by doing the right thing, which is his point. And you get killed for doing the right thing simply because they're too carnal to understand the spiritual things you're saying.
That's right.
You get it now? Come on.
Time check, sir, 7:53.
With that, I believe we're coming together again tomorrow for a barbecue.
Come.
Where is it going to be at? Come on.
The barbecue is going to be at Humber Bay East Park. That's in the Lakeshore and Park Lawn area.
Ooh. The Lakeshore. And the Park Bay. Say it one more time.
Lakeshore and Park Lawn area.
The Lakeshore, the barbecue in Canada tomorrow will be at the Lakeshore and Park View area. What the address?
It's Humber Bay East Park.
Humber Bay, East Park.
All right, sir.
What? Any more than that? What city or?
It's in Toronto, sir.
In Toronto, Canada, Humber Bay and East Park. You can type that in your maps and it'll come up. We'll put it on Facebook and put it everywhere to make sure everyone knows. We're having a barbecue tomorrow, getting it on up north in Canada. Salakia, what time?
It starts at 11, sir.
11 p.m. Eastern Standard.
It's like AM.
Damn. 11 a.m. Everyone out in the middle of the night. 11 a.m. We'll put it on Facebook. You can come and get down, Captain.
I just, if you could, just appreciate the sisters.
Come on,
bringing
man.
the
How the
food.
hell? Who made the food here tonight? Come on. Come on. I know you made this food. I can tell. General Kabbalah Mazrid, she made the food, got it on. It's Benjamin food. Ooh-wee. Benjamin food, outstanding. She made the food. Give me the names.
Is that a Levite sister? Your rib, right? Okay.
What's her name?
Jasmine.
Your sister Jasmine made the food. Give her a hand. Levite sister, Levite food. Levite. Okay, no white. Good food nonetheless. Delicious food. We are going to eat all of it, namely me, in about 15 minutes. All right, good to go. We'll see you at the barbecue tomorrow. We'll get it on with everyone. Who do I pass the class to? What's your name out?
Audio.
And with that, pass the class over to Priest Officer Adio. What's the call before I roll?
Allah Panya. Everyone stand. Barak.
Yahweh Shai Barakatham.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatham. Sar, turn face the sisters. Name of Israel, Michael Shabbat. Imagine. Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. I was looking for that binder. I'm not sure. It's like Elsa's binder. You know what that binder is? You know what binder is?
You can cut the live. And you can have your rib give John on the call.
Kanaka.
You got the questions here.
Kanaka, sir.